at B1. A lot of power picks in the meta right now. We'll see what gets left open. I think Paze has obviously been fantastic on Ezreal. It also becomes really hard to punish. So we'll see if they look to target that away. Stuff like the Rumble, pretty standard. But GENG going very hard in jungle bans here. Trying to give Lucid an advantageous matchup, it seems. But we still have things like the Ashe.
You mean Canyon, right?
Canyon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, him.
Yeah, the other guy.
LeBlanc actually being banned away from Showmaker, so a lot of respect put towards that. Still have Tristana open, still have Ashe open, still have Ezreal open. See what D+ plan to ban away here and now. Also, last time they played against each other, they banned the Nautilus a fair bit, I believe. And it's going to be a first pick Nidalee immediately off the bat. So now we'll see. Tristana did end up getting banned out. We'll see what D+ look to take away here. Remember, Chovy can play, you know, the Lucian. We saw him being the first pick out if they need 80 in the mid lane.
Yeah. Maokai is one thing that sticks out. I mean, Lucid, he's been better on Vi and Sejuani, who happen to be banned. Also a fantastic Lee Sin player. And Aiming's playing the Ezreal this game, so they're going to take that away. That feels like an absolute must take away here.
I like the Ezreal. The jungle pick I'm not so sure on. If you have something that you think is really valuable to pick now, sure. But, you know, you're not pressured to take jungle right now. But I guess they just don't want to show too much. So they take the Lee. Wouldn't necessarily be contested, but Lucius wants to see if he can try to skill check Canyon on the Nidalee, but obviously you're going to lose out in terms of farm in this matchup. So we'll have to see what he can do. Both junglers, fantastic with setup. CC allows you to land those skill shots to gap close. So definitely a factor you want to bring in here. Maybe the Renekton, going to be a high priority in the rest of the draft. But actually GENG just look to pick up the Cassante for Keen. Not really too bothered about picking up the Renekton themselves. In the top lane, not really bothered about. I mean, Cassante is fine setup for the Nidalee. And the question is, do they take 80 carry or mid here? If they want an 80 mid, probably want to take it
Yone.
now.
Yep.
And they go for the Yone. So they'll leave 80 carry. There's still a lot of 80 carries up. You know, Ezreal was picked, but not anything was banned. Ashe is still open.
Yeah, Ashe has to be banned by DK in the second phase.
D+ into the Yone, you could take like the Talia. Obviously you can't take a LeBlanc, which is great with the Lee Sin. But we have seen this Diana come out a few times from Showmaker.
Annie!
Looks
Showmaker, come on.
Yeah, they won't sell in the mid for now. They'll take the Gnar, giving Kingen a good matchup in the top lane. So they get that counter pick, and they will also be able to have counter pick support and mid, essentially. So that's the value we're sort of seeing from D+ on the red side. They will have first priority, though, on 4-pick. So I think GENG will probably ban away Leona in this situation. Ezreal, Leona probably up there, strongest bot lane on that patch. Interesting they banned Nautilus, though, when there's so many 80 carries up. Like, there's Ashe open and available, Kalista open and available, Kai'Sa open and available, Zeri, and they opt to get rid of the Nautilus.
Yeah. And now you're put in a position where if they do play Zeri, there's no Vi, no Nautilus. Karma, the first ban, so...
Yeah, it makes me think
they want to play something specific.
I think they're just kind of worried about the counter pick and Ezreal Karma being a big lane destroyer. So if you happen to pick something like that wasn't as aggressive, you know, maybe like the Braum or something. I mean, I'm not a fan of blind Braum, but if they were to pick that and then Karma got picked into it, you'd be really doomed. So we'll see what they offer. But even if you were to go something like Alistar, you could just have such a rough time in the early lane. I think they're wary of that. They do ban the Kalista, though, away from Paze. He still has a lot of options. The Leona ban does come through. It's going to deny that. I think unless you have a really strong preference for a support, you probably just take mid here. And they go for the Twisted Fate. So point-and-click CC, you know, that was something we expressed a concern with. You want set up for the Lee Sin. That is definitely set up for the Lee Sin. Can definitely cause some pain for Chovy and Canyon.
Yeah.
You know, these picks rely on their mobility to play in skirmishes, and the stun card obviously going to shut that down. But, you know, it's crazy to me that Ashe gets all the way through the second rotation. And, you know, kind of working off the thought process of them banning that Karma, they do just go the Ashe Braum. So incredible ability to stack up that Braum passive. You get the engage potential from the Ashe, which the Braum obviously lacks compared to other supports. And now, what do D+ go? You know, if you pick an engage support into Braum, it's going to feel pretty bad. I feel like you probably want to just play at distance. Maybe Rakan, I think, could make sense.
Yeah, you really, I mean, if you're playing Alistar in this spot, you're just in pain the entire game. Like you're not going to have a fun time. So I really like the Rakan call. And it allows you a little bit more of just kind of shoving your face in there, able to close the gap extremely fast to the point where maybe the Braum can't react, maybe the K'Sante can't peel. And we'll see how Kellen looks on this Rakan.
Yep, a lot of CC to layer with that TF. And it's a good matchup for the Braum because it's very hard to stack up passive before the Rakan dips out. GENG have a lot of pick potential, have that Nidalee strength, but I don't feel like altogether, you know, their mid and top lane, they shouldn't really have that much pressure in early. Bot lane Ashe is obviously very strong, but Ezreal Rakan can kind of go toe-to-toe, so this feels like it could be a lot more even, you know, when it comes to the draft, but GENG just having the nameplates on obviously gives them a big edge. It really comes down to Lucid on this Lee Sin. If he falls behind, you will fall so far behind because the farm lead that Nidalee will generate naturally on top of putting you behind will make this game very hard to come back from. And D+'s comp is one that requires a fair bit of finesse. You know, you need to play around the stun card, play around locking down targets who come into you, use the Ezreal. You don't have anyone who's that tanky in the composition. You know, Gnar has to be in Mega, Rakan is a squishy engage support. So, a lot of spacing. With this composition, D+ have a tall task on their hands, but I think their draft has given them tools.
They have tools, they're just not easy ones. I'm also looking forward to seeing how Aiming does on his birthday here on the Ezreal. Let's hop on the rip for game number 1. The D+ fans always out in force, and I think they can feel something, especially when the Lee Sin was locked in for Lucid, who obviously has a lot of fans here. There's been a lot of hype around this player for very long, and now he's been called up this year. And this is the pick that allowed them to find some angles against GENG in the spring playoffs, and I think that, you know, it's not extremely meta. You don't see it all the time, but especially for him to pick it into Canyon's Nidalee.
Yeah. And also,
it takes some guts, let me say that.
But also trust from the team. And I think a lot of people were, you know, it was a different meta during spring, but we saw a lot of like Lucid on these tanks. There was always the, will he get 2 items this game? No. Sort of meme going on with him. But I love that he's sort of grown as a player into the LCK, and the team trust him a lot, you know, willing to say, let's slam Lee Sin into GENG and see what you can do. And picking the TF as well for Showmaker, giving him that setup, that reliable lockdown so he can land those sonic waves. And Showmaker with the first strike, his goal will just be to print money this game. That is essentially what he's going to try and do. You can't really shove the Yone out of lane that effectively with Doran Shield, Second Wind, and Fleet Footwork, but you should have pressure, and you should be rich by the end of the laning phase.
Yeah, that's the goal. Just try to get ahead. Try not to die. Don't get Yone Nidalee and poke, get money. And eventually, you know, get around the map, pull out gold cards, and set up kills for your team. Because even if you're throwing in a gold card and the Ezreal is there and just lands a Mystic Shot, it's going to be a huge chunk. Especially if they get into the mid-game in kind of even footing and Aiming gets any amount of farm. It is going to be pretty huge once we do come down to it. And already we're seeing that Showmaker's having a fine time in the lane.
I will say one thing, though, is the Braum value ends up being pretty high. You know, we've seen it do a decent job at blocking a lot of Ezreal's damage, but also being able to block the stun card. You know, if you stand in front of your Ashe and just make it impossible for Showmaker to land the stun, can be really useful. Didn't see anything too crazy out from the level 1, you know, especially after the first series where it felt like both games. We saw them trying to really set up and apply pressure, get wards down and challenge on enemy camps. We're just getting a pretty standard clear coming through from both of them. That will leave Lucid down towards the bot side and Canyon up towards the top. We'll see if he tries to make something happen on Kingen, but to be honest, there's a ward down there. I'm not sure too much will come from it.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, unless, you know, King oversteps, gets knocked back or something like that. Probably just going to be trading. Don't feel like you want to dive down here either if you are Lucid. And
yeah, I think maybe you want Merc before you try diving that. Maybe a QSS as well.
Like 3 items in a QSS, and then maybe you consider diving the Braum.
The angle. I think the main thing is unlocking Showmaker when he gets level 6. That's really, for me, if you're picking the TF as well, that first ult, the value you get from it can really make or break the game. And particularly when you have pressure in both side lanes, as you can see right now, you definitely want to be able to capitalize on that. Aiming and Kellen did a pretty good job. You know, Ashe is obviously strong level 1. We've seen Ezreal is too, but we've seen some Ezreals really lose out in the early laning phase. But I think Showmaker is the one who's been having not a bad time so far against Chovy, but definitely a little bit behind in pressure just in the early levels.
Yeah. See what happens here with the Rakan, but at the end of the day, it's still Ashe Braum. And I'm really surprised that, you know, if you consider each individual GENG player and you think about like a top 2 champion for them, it feels like everybody's kind of gotten them, minus maybe Paze and Lehens, but they also did get one of the strongest bot duos, right? But if you think about Nidalee for Canyon, Chovy on Yone, Keen on Cassante, they're so comfortable on those picks. Also, they're very meta. And then you just kind of gave them Ashe Braum as well.
Yeah, I think the Ashe was the weird one because they banned the Nautilus, and they could have banned the Ashe there. And the fact it got through both rotations, a little bit crazy.
So Chovy's on an 18-game winning streak on Yone. And also at the same time, Showmaker is 18-4 on Twisted Fate.
Yeah, some insane stats, you know. I feel like as well, particularly the TF mid, hasn't really been a thing for a while, but Showmaker obviously has a lot of time playing the champion when D+ really was on top, back when it was. Damn one. A lot of trading going on here. Aiming burning through all his mana.
Yeah, into the Braum, who has a biscuit. Aiming's gonna eventually have to back, especially because Paze already backed, so.
Yeah, he has TP though, so
yeah.
I think he's kind of waiting for like a particular item breakpoint, and then he'll just send it and recall. We do see Lucid starting up the dragon here, very early. Not too much actions come from the jungle. Well, that's crazy, 12-12.
This does feel like a very classic matchup.
Sure.
In recent years.
But the grubs will be started by Canyon in return. And the end result of this is that, especially now Canyon has faded Ashes, this was already going to be the case, but it'll be a bit of an advantage for Canyon in terms of like momentum in the jungle, getting a good amount of XP from these. Dragon takes a long time to do, especially when you're doing it solo. And you can see there's not much of a difference in terms of farm right now, but this is where really, if nothing happens, Canyon should just gradually pull ahead.
Yeah. And he is, very slightly. You see that the top lane, you know, generally it feels good to play Gnar into Cassante, but some players really prefer just playing the Cassante, especially when both of them are available. Keen is one of them. We saw Morgan yesterday do this a couple of times. We weren't super happy with that case with Morgan, but especially when it's Keen and how proficient he is on this champion, I feel like we can trust him. And as of right now, he is basically dead even in farm, but there is a call on Kingen, so he is looking to try to squeak ahead.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel like that's how it is for every GENG player, you know? We just give them, like, you know, we say, oh, this pick isn't really doing well in the LCK, but GENG are winning with it.
Yeah.
You know, we were saying, like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't pick Nidalee unless you're Canyon. Yeah, Tristana's looking better than Corki unless you're Chovy. I feel like every GENG player, and it's, you know, it's warranted because they are just unbeatable at the moment.
How about you shouldn't give a team Ashe unless it's Paze? Wait, that doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work.
That doesn't. Yeah, it's not quite
nice
the
try.
same. Not quite the same vibe.
The D+ fans appreciate it, but
yeah, I think Paze is absolutely totally fine on this Ashe, and I'm sure he's going to have a big impact on this game. I'm still just a bit confused why he's able to play it in this one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it ends up panning out. Not too much come for this one, and it's just been a trade of those neutrals. Grubs will be up sooner, and it often feels like the second Grubs is where we get the contest between teams. We do now have Showmaker's ult available, so we'll see if he gets a window to make use of it. He is going the Rod of Ages, I believe. So looking to be a bit bulkier on that TF and less of a target.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen the APTF, you know, when the ADTF was just all the rage for some time.
In the top lane, especially. And, yeah, it's kind of funny to see Rod of Ages. Nobody builds that item anymore. Except TF, Kassadin. There's not a lot of meta champs in Pro that use it, so. Yeah, not a lot of action, but now we're going to get some. The level 6 ult comes out, immediate cleanse from Paze, and the stun into Kellen, but that does leave Lehens all on his lonesome under a turret against 4 people. They just wait until he uses everything, and then he dies. First blood given over as well to aiming on the Ezreal.
Yep, best person you want to have the kill, and I love the patience. They get Paze's cleanse. Ideally, you would have got a flash as well, but Paze does a good job, able to disengage from the situation, and the arrow finding Kellen. And then the rest of the team just clean up the Braum, deny some farm, push the wave in, and a couple of plates taken. This is exactly the play you want with the first TF ultimate, and Kingen does a good job of just denying the dive, held the wave in front of the tower, and hit Mega so you could just easily clean it up. So good play from D+, but Chovy does punish. 17 CS ahead, or some of that's going to be made back, but picking up 2 plates mid, so definitely advantage D+ on that, but not...
Oh no. Kellen just going to face check here now. He does have flash, and he is recon, so he's fine, but yeah, that didn't look great. Just kind of running straight at them, assuming nobody would be in the brush.
He's scouting them.
Yeah. Just putting his body on the line. Showmaker, the only real recourse he has when the Unbound Soul comes out is, well, a gold card. And that is generally what TF offers.
That's his job. He just throws the gold card.
Yeah. This champ has been the same pretty much forever. Not exactly the same, but he travels around the map and he presses his gold card.
That's all he has to do.
That's what he does.
And that's what they picked him for. Oh, Chovy looking for a heavy trade. Does just disengage though. You can see he's trying to get pressure here so they can move towards the grubs, and it looks like we're not going to get a full contest on this from D+. They're heading towards the dragon, and they will have control over this area, so they can't pick it up.
Ox, I want you to really focus in here. Okay, we have the soul spawning after they take this dragon, so I want you to make sure that it is not a Chemtech soul, so we don't consider, rather continue on this 1 kill per 10-minute pace.
Oh, this would be the worst game to have Chemtech Soul. The absolute worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really would. So please, Ox, focus all your power.
You know, D+ are even hesitant to take it. They don't want to know. They ended up securing vision there, but don't take it. So now GENG can move pressure down towards the bot side. Maybe they take the dragon and set up for a Chemtech Soul.
No Chemtech Soul.
Sorry, no Chemtech Soul. No
Chemtech Soul. And, I mean, GENG, they were on the top side of the map. They did take the grubs, and they backed, and they're in position for the Drake.
This 6 grub damage.
Yeah, I mean, even the Cassante, just give him a couple seconds. He's going to be smacking that turret on the cannon.
Yeah, Mr.
He got all those free mini Krugs, though, earlier on. TP's coming in here, as now a bit of damage coming in onto Chovy, but actually it's Kellen who takes the brunt of that. With the TP, it doesn't really look like GENG are ready to focus, but now we have Paze moving over, and potential for a TP, but nope. Actually, Keen doesn't have his, but here's the arrow, is going to hit the Lee Sin, and it's Chemtech Soul. Ox, what is going on? Paze, oh no, Paze, he's going down, as he has no flash, and he will be taken out. And I don't care about the Chemtech Soul anymore, as Chovy is going to be taken down as well. D+ Kia, they turned that fight around.
Yeah, huge team fight win. GENG just not ready for it. Both their carries picked. And with 2 dragons in the bag and this lead, this would feel fantastic for D+. If it wasn't for the fact it's the worst soul in the game.
Yeah. It's not going to feel very good. I mean, they could have had Infernal, they could have had Cloud. Not meant to be, but
anything else.
They got a lot of gold, and they're going to get even more when they give aiming some free time with this turret. Please tell me he didn't back away from that one.
Yeah, and the ult comes in, connects on a Lucid, but 2 ults burn already. And then Pays is just out of position, gets challenged by aiming, and that's the thing with the TF. You can come in, find the angle, Pays doesn't have cleanse, and the follow-up here on a Chovy, fantastic by Kellen. Tries to ult to get away, but not to happen. And it just kind of felt like one of these moments where GENG just watched the Dragon die, and then just died themselves.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a split call or somewhat delayed, but they did not commit, and then they just kind of hesitated, and they got caught out. They got caught flat-footed big time. And D+, you know, they're really crisp today. You give them an inch, they're going to take it. They're going to take that. They're not scared of GENG. It feels like they're the one team that just comes out and plays their game when they're up against GENG.
Yeah. And,
I think he's okay.
I love Lahen's just punching him. Beating him down. Get out of here. Yeah, I mean, Showmaker, I feel like both him and aiming, sort of when we have the Rod of Ages stacked and we have the Mana Immune from aiming, it's going to be a pretty nice spot. But also, Showmaker picked up a kill there, going to be having the extra gold from First Strike and his passive. He's going to be a very wealthy man.
Lahen's kind of caught out here. Now he's going to be kicked over, and it's aiming right here. They're just going to gift him another kill. Lahen's just in the middle of nowhere, and he gets punished once again.
Yeah, and Herald will get thrown down mid, but the wave's being cleared out. I don't think they'll be able to get the full tower here. It just feels like D+, playing with confidence, finding the angles. This Lee Sin's working.
That's a stun, and the Rift Herald is not going to charge. D+ Kia just ahead of every single play.
They're honestly playing so well this game. I mean, they're just answering GENG in every scenario.
Oh, Kingen reading the situation, but we've got an Italy on the top side. Here comes TF, and the damage into Keen, DK, they turn it around. They pick up 2 more kills.
He tries to dive without the wave. He thinks, I'm tanky, I'm Cassante, I have the Nidalee coming, but they forget about the TF. Showmaker's value this game has been absolutely massive, and GENG are crumbling. This was the answer, this was it.
As we see some sad GENG fans at the same time. Just the shock and awe.
They've had enough wins. It's D+ time now. Yeah, Lahen's just thinking, I'm playing Braum. I am tanky. I am fine. Okay, I'm still good. Okay, I'm not good. I'm not good at all. That's exactly what went through his mind.
Yeah.
And then here, Kingen does a good job of clearing out the wave. And I think at that point when the wave dies, you should just back off. Like, honestly, maybe if they'd been able to take the tower sooner with the 6 Void Grubs, that would have been the angle. But yeah, just a massive overstep, and Kingen plays it as well as he can.
He just broke their ankles. I mean, like, he's dancing around the Cassante who's trying to catch him, and then you always have to respect TF and his ability to be everywhere. And it feels like they have not done that at all this game.
Everyone on D+ is ahead of the lane opponent, which has not happened much in GENG games.
Yeah.
They have been at a deficit across the board. 4,300 and 2 dragons. Chemtech, 3rd dragon coming up in a second. I don't even think GENG contest this.
This is not a good reason to be honest, other than maybe trying to deny an early soul. But I would say that, you know, maybe just let the Elder spawn and then go for that. It's not like you're giving over an Infernal Soul or anything like that.
And Chovy's bought a QSS.
Yep.
Which is obviously, like, you can understand why and the value into TF. But that feels so bad when Showmaker's been printing money and he's ahead and he's forced you to buy a QSS 1300 that's just not providing anything except a defensive CC cancel. GENG have moved in quickly to get this dragon, but the TP's coming through. They will be contested. Can they get out in time?
Yeah, that's the real question. It feels like D+ are the ones that don't care about the dragon. The engage a little bit lackluster here from DK, as Lucid wasn't able to find that kick, and out Keen. There's the kick, he knocks up 3, and that's the end of Braum. Should be the end of Cassante, but who am I kidding? He's Cassante. They're just gonna go over the wall here and kill Canyon instead. They say, well, the Nidalee's a much easier target. As now Keen, he is isolated, and maybe even Cassante memes can't save him here. As no knockup, and now a double knockup from him, and Chovy just trying to desperately help, but he gets roped into the fight. And now maybe even he goes down, as everything is going to miss. And he does survive barely, but man, DK are flattening them tonight.
Feels like Gen G are paying for their hubris, you know? They get the dragon, but they stay. They're like, hey, maybe we can find a fight. They're trapped in the pit. They don't leave immediately. And it just gets worse and worse as the play goes on for them. But D+, zero hesitation. This is the best we've seen D+ play in a long time.
Well, I feel like the last time we saw it was in Game 1 against Gen G, where Chovy got a big divide and the game turned around. But I don't really see the game turnaround angle for Gen G here.
And the thing is, they rushed the dragon, but they could have just left. Maybe sacrifice Keen.
Wow.
But like Braum can get out, Ashe can flash, Yone and Nidalee can get out, but they wait so long that even when Canyon jumps out the pit, Canyon dies. Keen ends up in this position where he has to try and run away. And then he's obviously going to go down, but then Chovy's like, hey, maybe we can find something. Okay, but now Chovy nearly dies. And sure, Chovy survives, but like, look how close this is. The boomerang just missing.
Uh-oh. What's this? Lahen's caught again. He does have the Braum ult in the choke, but it just doesn't matter. The wallets are so heavy here for DK. It's 7,000 gold almost, and 19 minutes into the game. And the Ezreal is 404.
I mean, look where the gold is, right? You have aiming on this fantastic 2-item spike for Ezreal. Showmaker, he won't be far away from Rapid Fire. 3-item TF with Lich Bane, Roa, Rapid Fire is so strong. Chovy has a QSS and a Blade Rune King, and that's pretty much it.
And guess what? They're not done yet. They're looking for more. As King gonna hold on to his unstoppable. Meanwhile, P's not allowed to back. Saving just gonna throw an ult into him. Meanwhile, and Keen, he can't get away. There's nothing he can do. The two ranged champions just hold him down. And now it's Canyon going down here as well. As, I mean, there's one Drake and 6 scrubs that went to Gen G. One turret, that's it. D+ Kia got everything else.
Yeah, and this is looking like it. This is looking like the end to the streak right now. Such a huge deficit, and D+ are just taking more and more. Lahens walks up to contest Vision, and just the CC's layered, pops the ult, but I mean, look at the health bars. There's no real recourse in terms of damage.
Baron didn't even spawn yet.
Yeah. Just unnecessary. And here, once again, seeing the power of the Twisted Fate. You overextend slightly, you try and take resources outside of your base, and you are suddenly vulnerable. Yeah. Aiming there to provide the damage. And it may be his birthday, but Showmaker will still take the kill.
I think that's fine. Aiming helped out. And he's been having a great game, as has everybody else on the side of DK. And you said it before, maybe it's just the hubris of Gen G. We're the team that's undefeated. We can't lose. They took so many fights that just looked very rough, that maybe they could have outplayed by some miraculous angle, but we have not seen that at all. And Lahens, he's dead again. He's just dead again.
Yeah, I think this is like the 3rd time in a row he's died without flashing.
At least the Baron's up.
He's just been focused, and he's like, I'm the Braum, I'm tanky, I can try and get some vision down, and they just kill him again and again and again.
Yeah, 0-5-0, 0-3-0 for 2 of the members on the top side. And Chovy and Pays only a death apiece, but it's still 0 kills for Gen G. And this is what happens, especially when you get behind TF, Lee Sin, and Ezreal. They have so much mobility, so much map pressure, and Gen G were like, we're just gonna let it happen. And DK were like, all right, we'll just stomp you.
Yeah, this is, again, another time where Lahens gets kicked by Lucid, brilliantly set up. And I think that is three deaths in a row without flashing. And I'm not saying that like Flash would have saved him, it feels like he's just being targeted and not able to find a way out. D+ now almost 10,000 gold ahead. This must be the only time anyone's had this lead against Gen G this summer.
I think so.
Yeah.
That would actually be a fun stat. Like, what is the largest gold lead anyone has had against Gen G so far? It's probably this one, because I can't recall a game where anyone was ahead this much and then Gen G still won. Even the one that DK were ahead of them in the last series. So,
well, I think if the closest was the other D+ series, we know it was definitely D+.
Yeah.
And yeah, 3rd dragon will be secured. Again, it's Chemtech's not a huge impact dragon or soul, but they'll just keep stacking them up. And at this point, I think the only way Gen G get back in the game is a massive overextension from D+, and a big ult from Chovy. You know, a 0-3-0 Nidalee. There was a spear that hit aiming earlier, and...
Oh, really? Well,
wow.
Yeah, that's Lee Sin. He doesn't care. Gold card is going to come out here. They're actually trying to get this play going. Lucid is going to get engaged on. There's that ult, but the kick immediately comes out, and Chovy, oh, he gets followed over the wall. Lucid trying to break his ankles again. It's now Chovy up against the wall is going to go down, and D plus Kia, they bring their giant safe of cash, and they drop it on GENG. They've only got 1 kill so far, but they're looking for more, and there it is. Kingen picks up 2. And nearly a kill on Akeen as well. Aiming is not missing tonight.
They just don't have the damage. You know, a spear hits Kelling on the back end. It does basically nothing. Inhibitor tower is going to go down. D+ continuing to push. We'll see if they try and end here.
I think they should, even just for the mental impact. Hey, it's your first loss, GENG, and we crushed you. That's what they want to say. 15 kills to 0. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to end here. We got some really slow health, rather low death timers. And we do see Chovy has respawned. So DK, not going to end it just yet, but don't be fooled, guys. This game is pretty much over.
Yeah. GENG trying to fish for something. They know that if D+ back off and spend, it only gets worse. You know, aiming, picking up a full Mercurial Scimitar, flashing the cash, Showmaker with the Medjais. That's definitely the first Medjais we've seen built against GENG this season. Say that without a doubt. They try and engage on Lucid, but just not able to catch him. Good reactions from him. And then here, Chovy commits on a Lucid because he's stunned, but has to wait a bit for the cooldown, and then just doesn't have the damage. A good kick as well, stops the Braum passive being stacked. And they end up in such an uncomfortable position here. Showmaker cuts up the exit. And there's just no recourse.
Yeah. If it weren't for the champions that were picked, I would be like, did we get the names wrong? Is that GENG on the right? Like, that is not, it's not the case.
Honestly, this doesn't even look like nameplates flip. This looks like GENG versus Bro. Like, yeah. This is an absolute...
It's so one-sided.
Dumb.
It's incredible. And D+K, they weren't able to end the game, but they're still more than 11,000 gold ahead. And they can wait for the next Baron if they want to be supremely safe.
Yeah, I think they don't need a rush. You know, it's not like there's some super scaling aspect of GENG's comp that's going to cause issues. Obviously, you want to close the game out, because the longer the game goes on, the less relevant a fixed gold lead is. But they just keep getting more and more. 2 minutes until Dragon, but I don't think it's even going to get to that point. They are continuing to take these structures. Tier 2 top will just go down. Showmaker will just look at it, and it is gone.
Yeah. You know what's really cool, too, is I mentioned before that they gave a lot of comfort over to the side of GENG, and I was a bit worried about that, honestly, when we didn't have any action in the beginning of the game. But DK, they're just kind of playing their style. I mean, TF Lee Sin, that's not meta. Nobody plays that. And yeah, like the other champs they have, the Gnar, the Ezreal, sure. But TF Lee Sin in mid-jungle, it's pretty, it's a DK thing. Nobody else really does that.
I think we're going to be honest. If you play the LCK meta right now, GENG are the best at it. Like, you cannot deny that. So if you try and play it, they'll be better than you. Whereas playing your own style, that's where you can really get an advantage. And it feels like that's what D+ have done in this game. You know, bringing out the TF, using that map control.
Yeah. It's a really important point to make, and a lot of people have said it in the past. I just wish more of our teams in the LCK would follow that idea. Thankfully, D+Kia is one of the teams that will, and they certainly have here in this first game.
And now, GENG trying to get some vision towards the Dragon. Trying to land some poke.
They have landed a little bit. It just doesn't look like.
Yeah, the damage is tiny. I mean, we've seen such a range of Nidalee spear damage from, like, basically half-healthing someone to you can't even tell that one's connected.
Didn't break a shield.
Yeah. And D+ have just kind of routed them here.
Yeah.
They will take this mid inhib tower super fast if left alone. Arrow's going to miss.
Engage Cone, trying to help them out. It's not actually helping them, and Kingen perfectly timed this Mega Gnar as well. For when they would be pushed on the mid lane, but not for a Dragon fight. So he might not have that if GENG really wanted to push the issue right now. But a lot of pushing lanes here in favor of DK, and they still have total control over this river. Trying to get this dragon down as fast as they possibly can. That's the Chemtech Soul. And now, again, the Giants save the cash, the flash away, and the kick comes in on a Chovy Lucid, once again breaking their ankles, and there it is. The front line disappears, and the wallets are so heavy for DK. Kingen, it's like Kasante doesn't do any damage. Canyon's still on the run, and still 0 kills for GENG.
See Canyon trying to avoid aiming, but he's going to go down.
The plants
won't let him survive. And this, I think, may just be the most one-sided game we have seen this summer to end GENG's undefeated game streak. D+ managed to do it.
You see Showmaker jump out of the chair as well. They are so hyped after this victory. What an unbelievable stomp in favor of D+ Kia. It's the only thing you can call that.
And, you know, Showmaker said he's coming to kill GENG, and they did 20 times that game. And Chovy said, no, we will kill you in return. They didn't, once, not a single kill.
Not a single kill. And the D+ Kia fans always getting fired up in general, but now they're just going insane. And I would be too. I mean, that's a really hype way to start off your series.
I love how they're in the booth with the coach. I can just imagine, it's like, you know what, fantastic. Great job here. This was amazing. This was brilliant. This was really good here. You know, and GENG are like, guys, you know, first time they'll have a lot to talk about, I feel, on the back of that one. Yeah.
And on Aiming's birthday, he comes out and does a lot of damage on Ezreal. To be fair, Ezreal does a lot of damage, but Aiming had a fantastic game himself, as did everybody on the side of D+ Kia.
I think everyone had a fantastic game. For me, Showmaker really stood out.
Oh boy.
Making the plays on that TF.
The fans are already crying. That was only game number 1, but it is a very important and special game win. That goes the way of D+ Kia, as he cannot believe the way Lucid played it with that Lee Sin. Incredible stuff. Guys, that was game number 1. We'll take a break and come back.
먹었어 이거 천천히 맞아 천천히 맞아 쌈보자
야 쌈보자
야 암라부터
야 형기야 들어가도 돼
천천히 오케이 W 5초
야 요네
들어갈게 요네
야 딴 데부터 암라인 볼까
암라
야 들어가 얘들아 들어가
이겼다 앞에 갈게 야 죽지마 노데스 근데 야 죽지마 성훈아 죽지마 아주 바텀 탈착해 내가 좀 바텀 갈게 팬분들 함성골 레전드.
근데 19대 0 뭐냐 이거?
팬분들 때문에 이겼다.
야 우리도 가족 사진 한번 찍자 일로와
가족 사진 오케이. 가족 사진 확인했어.
야 일로와
가족 사진 확인했어.
야 여기서 해
가족 사진 확인했어.
All the fights they didn't need to, but I think switching up the draft will be this first step to get in a more comfortable position. And D+ on the blue side, retaining that Nautilus ban they favored against GENG last time they matched up. Following through with a Corki as well. Nautilus and Vi both taking off the cards. Definitely means things like the Zeri, pretty high value, but I think here he just first picked the
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the first pick, Ezreal, for sure, especially because they banned Lee Sin.
And now, do we just get the return to Sejuani for Canyon? You know, he's had a season of having fun, playing like Nidalees and Ysira, and now it's like, okay, you know, we lost a game. Back to Sejuani.
I mean, they can get Ashe and Sejuani together. It does feel like
It's a pretty good pairing.
kind of the jackpot. Or you just play Nidalee again.
Yeah, Canyon hasn't won in Italy. He hasn't won today a game on Italy, so he needs to get it in. He's doubling down. We'll lock that one in. And now Lucid has the choice. Do you want to try and match the pace? I think most junglers we've seen in the LCK would just lock Nidalee here. I mean, not Nidalee, yeah, Sejuani. But does he end up leaning towards a carry after the previous game performance? The answer is no. And now what to secure here? I think top lane would show the least. You could just pick something in the top like the Gnar, the K'Sante. Be interesting if they took mid. But I think he'll probably just be a top lane pick here.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, Gnar feels pretty straightforward. Kingen, you know, he wasn't the main character. Oh, actually, with LeBlanc available, I do like this as well. LeBlanc, it's not LeBlanc and Lee Sin, but Showmaker's LeBlanc also very strong.
Yeah, to me, LeBlanc Sejuani doesn't fill me with joy. But Chovy, considering the Azir, LeBlanc traditionally picked into Azir, but maybe going for like the Bruiser Azir we've seen and just wants to be too tanky to die into the LeBlanc, which would definitely make things difficult. And you know, LeBlanc is a pick where I feel like you need momentum, you need to be ahead, you need to be on point to get damage down. Ezreal, Aiming had a fantastic game last time, but also like Ezreal, if you're not hitting the skill shots, you're not going to get damage done. So this is a sort of composition from D+ where, you know, it can do a lot of damage, but it can also not, depending on how things are going in the game, how people are playing. High variance is how I would describe it. Now, do you see D+ here focusing bans towards the top lane? I think maybe one of the better matchup for Kingen and wanted to use those second bans to trim away some of the picks Keen has been relying on. GENG banned the Rakan, and then the Braum, they're opting for themselves. Karma left open, but obviously they kind of banned that because they were picking Braum. I feel like they'll probably just go Leona on 4. I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't in this
Seems
scenario.
pretty likely.
So D+, do you ban Leona, or is it like we want to ban another pick for Kingen to have a fun time? That is the question.
Well, they're using all their time bank. It's going to be the Leona ban, so they deny that from Lehens.
Yeah, I mean, now GENG, you could just pick the Gnar if you want to secure that, have that blind. Or you can give counterpick to Keen, and looks like they're going to do that, and they're going to pick up the Alistair in this situation. Not the easiest Alistair game, honestly. You know, so far there's 3 targets who I honestly think Alistair's going to struggle to have impact against. Ezreal and LeBlanc, limited opportunity to combo them, but we'll see. You know, had a lot of strong Alistair performances recently. Question is, does Kingen just pick the Gnar? And also, Kellen into that is going to go the Karma. So, really looking to take advantage in the levels in that lane matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the Alistair's basically just going to stand there. The Ashe should help, but we've seen what Ezreal can do even by himself, and when you've got a Karma with it, you're winning lane.
Yeah.
So that Ashe may not get as much lane value as expected. Here's the Gnar, but as you mentioned before, giving counterpick to Keen feels pretty good, and Gnar can be counterpickable.
GP angle? Potentially. We'll see.
Or like an Aatrox.
I feel like if we have an Aatrox player in this game, who I'd
Or
expect
a
to bring it out.
Camille? How crazy does he want to go?
That's the question. I mean, Camille would be high value here.
Yeah.
If it's just for Nectin, I'll be so disappointed. The R5 for Nectin. Oh, it'd be certainly be a pick. Ups for the Jax in this situation. Obviously seen a pretty good Jax performance earlier today. And Keen confident on that one. Yeah, I feel like my main concern for GENG is the bot lane, how that's going to go. I think their top side matchups are pretty fine. And also, Showmaker getting the LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Presumably, I'm going to assume it's like more bruiserish Azir, but maybe not. You know, we'll see what Chovy opts to go, because obviously you don't stack Grasp that effectively against LeBlanc, but if you become bulky, then how do you die?
Yeah, just don't die. The thing is, though, I feel like the LeBlanc is, especially with Ezreal and even Karma, you just have an insane amount of poke. If you get ahead at all, like, is Ashe and Nidalee going to be able to sustain against the against the immense amount of poke and pressure that they do have? I do wonder, personally. As lots of D+ fans going crazy still. The GENG fans still out in force, going strong, hoping that their team can pull off the comeback in this one.
Yep, need to bounce back. I think, like, obviously losing that undefeated record, that's one thing. Losing your undefeated series record for this season,
Ooh,
not a good feeling at all. Would be a dark day for GENG fans.
yeah. But it would be D+ Kia to do it, and we'll see if that can happen, or if GENG are going to make the comeback happen. As we are ready, let's hop into the Rift for game number 2.
I think that's the loudest fan chant I've ever heard.
You know, it's funny, you would expect like T1 or even GENG, as they are going to catch this ward but not kill it. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so this is actually big. If you look at the bottom left, you can see Aiming's XP bar.
Yep.
Get quite a bit of XP from the wards, and since they changed bot lane XP, I think it was post MSI when they did that.
It was before that, right?
Was it before that? I can't remember specifically when, but they definitely,
A
sometime
lot
in
of
the last
patches.
8 months, they definitely changed
That's
bot lane
safe.
XP. That's all-encompassing, okay? I don't have the patch notes in front of me. I don't have a big folder with all
He's lying, he
printed
does,
off.
actually. I can see it.
I'm just talking about it to make excuses as I rifle through. Anyway, but it means if you get that early ward, you can actually hit level 2 a lot earlier than expected. So they might actually be able to, they would typically be able to catch Pays and Lehens off guard, but Pays and Lehens have done this swift move of not being bot lane.
Yeah, I was going to say any lane swap enjoyers in this one is Keen's just going to casually steal a small wolf. He says, thank you very much. That's going to help him out in the fact that he's not really going to be farming much, considering that he doesn't want to be bot either.
Oh, man.
All right.
Showmaker has W, right?
You have to know. Yeah, he knows. He's going to land the leash here on Akeen.
Showmaker's just like, what is this guy doing in my lane?
I mean, Jax against LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Not a fun time, I'll tell you that.
No, it was ambitious. But I think if there's ever a game you're going to lane swap, this is it. You know, you have such a rough early level into the Ashe Karma that it is so weird to avoid that. And I imagine they won't stay in swap lanes for long, but avoiding level 1, level 2, those first couple of waves, actually makes such a big difference. And you won't lose that much in terms of plating in return. So I think it's the correct decision. We also see that D+ have moved Jax up there to start collecting XP, pressuring the tower. I think he got his Demolish proc off there. It is 2 plates take on the bot side, but ultimately all really Aiming is going to get off that is like a tier, right? It was also shared with the Karma, so I think literally just to get through those first couple of levels and come into lane level 3 even, 100% the correct play from GENG, so a smart move from them.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it does seem like we will return to normalcy. By the way, you were asking, you know, maybe he goes the grass, maybe he doesn't. Chovy has, in fact, gone for the grass. Not sure if you mentioned that one, but
Yeah, of course he has.
he's going to be it's going to be a bit tanky. We'll see what kind of items he builds. You know, we've seen some differing builds along the path of Tank Azir. Most recently, BDD played this, and he played with Riftmaker third, actually.
Yeah, I think ultimately you don't need to be like this sort of... I mean, it wasn't full tank for the very tanky builds we used to see earlier in the year. Just being bulky is enough. And laning phase is looking a little bit rough for Chovy, but I feel like of any player in the league, Chovy is the one who will pick losing matchups and just manage to navigate them a lot better than anyone else does. And I think that's kind of his hope with this Azir matchup, is that yes, it's a rough time, but it's not going to be so rough that he can't just scale into a monster who LeBlanc can never kill later.
Yeah, that's
his hope.
probably what we're going to be seeing. Kellen hitting the max range. Nice volley there. As Polly FaZe is also going to pick up the cannon.
I see what you did because it pays begins with a P.
Yeah.
Then you did
I
Ollie.
guess so.
Polly.
Yes.
Does Polly want to crack it?
FaZe volley. And it's actually pushing towards aiming and Kellen, so... Well, they're hitting the minions. Not going to try to zone them away or anything like that. Actually, just letting it push into them further.
Yep. And we'll throw a fair bit of poke towards them, but it's an Alistair who can kind of just shake it off for the time being. Being said, Lucid is showing up, but Canyon is here too, and they will find each other and say hello.
Yeah. You saw that, you know, the Nidalee in recent times. Only getting 2 wins against Sejuani, and they were both Canyon.
Yep, I love this Nidalee strategy where you just walk at them. And
With red buff.
Attack with red buff, yeah. I love when you get Nidalees with Lich Banes who like miss the spear and then just like order you with Dark Harvest as well.
Yeah.
And that just kills you, and you're like, yeah, good job, buddy.
Well, they had to get themselves in a position to be that fed in the first place.
Oh, getting fed on Italy is really difficult. How did they manage it?
Showmaker's
Oh.
gonna land it. Chovy taking a really rough trade here. Chovy does not have TP anymore. Obviously, neither does Showmaker, but that's
Canyon
pretty
just
rough.
healed himself. Go heal Chovy. That's your job, right? Jungle Soraka?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Chovy, he's okay for the time being, but I do feel like unless he gets a little bit of help here eventually, Showmaker will push him out. Although, as I say that, you know, the wave gets pushed in and they want to make a play here for the grubs, so Chovy himself should be fine.
Yeah, I think they will have to sacrifice. Canyon really wants to trade his flash to try and steal one he can, but he decides that is not a good idea. Or does he?
He decides it is a good idea, and
Okay.
you know what? Lucid and Showmaker just let it happen.
They're like, you know what? You can have one. There's a freebie. You had a rough game 1. Yeah, I think Jack's coming back with TP and Kingen being half HP in a tower. Kind of a little bit of a concern, so they don't overstay, they don't overcommit. D+ still respecting their opponents after blasting them in game 1.
They said that was game 1, this is game 2, respect again. And
Honestly, you have to have that mindset because
Yeah.
it's very easy to come into game 2 and be like, damn, we smoked these. Oh no, we've lost. And again,
actually that fast, like as
Yeah.
fast as you said it.
and I think, you know, against GENG, that is definitely a team you can't afford to do that against.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a lot of what we saw in the beginning of game 1, where it was just very slow, not a lot of action.
Very
And
meticulous.
the first kill was the TF ult, right? We saw that in the bottom lane. The TF ult came in, they were able to dive, they killed the Braum.
I don't really expect TFL to get many kills this game.
It's not going to, but you've got Lucid, he's
Well,
at level 6.
I said it probably won't. I didn't say for sure, you know.
I'm pretty sure about it personally.
Okay.
Take a look at the CS in mid, by the way. Showmaker, he helped out with the grubs, and Chovy just ate the full wave under the turret we saw, and now he's won the trade in mid, and Showmaker's backing.
Yeah, now he's winning lane.
What happened?
Yeah, just, you know, that's just Chovy things. That's the way I'll explain it.
Yes, thank you for that analysis.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get a good eye on how things led into those trades. But I think, as you said, got some alone time mid where Showmaker like pathed out towards the blue side jungle. And now,
Oh, nice flash from Lehens here, and pays. He just knew that if he gets slow, there's a chance. And now Lucid getting in there. The smite does go the way of Canyon, but now he's being bullied in the river. It's first blood. A big divide comes through, but flashes are down, and the chase potential of DK, they're not going to follow up on it. They say, okay, you take the dragon, but we'll get the kill. We'll get first blood, and look at their gold lead right now.
yeah, aiming with the one with First Blood as well. Remember, he got those 2 plates from the tower early on, has a CS lead. A good start for him, and I just think GENG weren't prepared to be contested on this dragon. I will say, though, Lehen's flash here is kind of nutty, just out of the fog of war. Pay's flash, I'm less praiseful of, I'm going to be honest. Good smite from Canyon, but then he's stunned before he can get to the wall to flash over. GENG were really just like, let's burn every summoner in the game to get this dragon.
Yeah, that was
but
their plan.
Unfortunately, Canyon died, so they didn't get a chance to burn all of them.
Yeah, he'll hold on to his flash for next time. Meanwhile, top lane, we do have this Gnar versus Jax matchup. We've seen this before where the Gnar can absolutely bully, but you know, eventually the Jax gets 2-3 items, and if it gets the jump on mini Gnar, can be a threat as the game comes along.
Honestly, the trading pattern of the Jax is so obnoxious because it's Grasp Jax as well. You just stack Grasp up on the minions and then just jump in and do a big whack, counter strike and run away. Every time.
Yeah.
Repeat. And he will do that as soon as his cooldowns are back up and available.
Oh, it's a lot of damage in the hands. Remember, he doesn't have his flash. He just got back to lane. He has a refillable potion, and yet he's struggling. They have the hawk shot just to say, okay, well, we're not being dove, but we still don't exist. And that's more free time for aiming with this turret.
Yeah, he's going to get so much gold.
Full plate to him as well.
This is the point where I wonder, like, how much value did you get out of key and counter pick with this Jax? Like, the Gnar is fine in this matchup, and you kind of opted into this lane matchup bot.
Well, they have the ult now, and now an arrow's going to hit Kellen, but he just runs away. Here comes Lucid trying to turn this one around, but Canyon's there. Meanwhile, we got a 1v1 in mid. Showmaker is LeBlanc, and so I would assume he's totally fine. And another fight in the top lane that Kingen seemingly won.
Yeah, I mean, you could have just taken Gnar on 4 as Gen.G. Clearly, the Gnar, you know, your counter pick isn't working top lane.
Watch this. Nope.
And then you could have counter picked support and not dealt with whatever this is. You know, they just land a spear on aiming, and you still like whatever. You know, Lehen's is like, well, he's half HP now with some healing, but oh, what?
He. Okay. I mean, I guess he was gonna TP into mid anyway. But yeah, doesn't really do much to TP down there.
The scenic TP.
It's like the don't bully my little brother TP.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Just showing up, reminding them that Chovy is in the game. And he will do things.
This is a very good play, actually, from Cullen to hold the wave. He's not in any threat. He knows the bottom lane of Gen.G left.
I think that might be the play that gets supports killed the most.
I thought you were going to say that's the play of the game.
No. Maybe so far.
Because you're a support player, like, yeah, that's right.
I swear I see so many pro supports try and do that and then just die. It happens.
Well, they generally do it in the face of their opponent support.
Yeah, they're like, you won't kill. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
It's very, very quick. Mess around and find out.
Are Gen.G going to get 4 grubs? I mean, they had 5 in the first game. Didn't really matter.
Yeah. You know, I think grubs are only useful if you get to hit towers.
I'd say that's accurate analysis, yeah.
That's my job. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And yeah, Gen.G didn't do too much of that last game. Aiming already has Triforce, by the way. That's pretty early. Pretty strong.
Yeah.
Level 9, so Q maxed as well. I mean, we know how strong Ezreal can be, but this is a very early spike for the Ezreal.
It is quite early.
Oh man, that's an item I mean, I guess Ziggs builds it occasionally, but we don't see the Luden's gun very often.
We have a Sejuani back here, by the way. That's why the vision is being toggled. Also, an Ezreal just thrown up into the top lane.
Oh, little demolish from Chovy. It kind of feels like it's Chovy versus aiming now, and who's going to end up more fed.
Well, currently it's definitely aiming.
Yeah.
But Chovy is playing Azir. It was actually, I wonder if he goes back to the Azir, even into LeBlanc in this matchup. He chooses this matchup because, you remember, it was Azir that was able to turn the game around up against D plus Kia.
True.
In their matchup in round 1.
Yeah, just get a 5-man shuffle. It's that easy.
Yeah.
It's that straightforward. Yeah, both. Chovy has now picked up Leandries. Canyon doesn't have it yet. And Dragon's going to get started. It's a Mountain Drake, pretty high value for D+. We'll see what the soul is. I say nervously.
Yeah, just think about Atlas grilling you right now.
Oh god, he'd be so upset.
First turret blood goes over to D plus Kia. It goes over to aiming alone in the bottom lane. They are really just dumping every little doubloon of every coin they can find. It's going into aiming's pocket.
And it's an Infernal Soul. High value for both teams, honestly. A lot of poke, long-range abilities that can benefit from it. And also, my favorite minigame in League of Legends, the Cinders. A lot of fun stacking them up. And honestly, if you get enough of them and you don't die, so much ability haste.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. You get to the point where Ezreal doesn't need to auto-attack anymore. Just, just throw in Qs.
Only Q.
Yep. And W sometimes. Occasionally E, if you want to put on some pressure.
Yeah, sometimes you need to move around.
Maybe R, you know?
Ooh.
Long-range poke.
Yeah, okay. That checks.
Keep that on lower cooldown. It's like a snowball effect with Ezreal, because you get your Q off cooldown faster, so you get your other stuff off cooldown faster.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It is pretty insane how broken this champion is. You know,
with Cinders.
It's you know what I think's funny is I think everyone's in agreement that like Ezreal's super strong right now. Imagine if Ezreal had come out this year. Imagine if it was like, okay, so his Q is 140% AD ratio. His ult does how much damage at level 6? And he has a flash on like a 3-second cooldown if he hits his Qs.
3 seconds?
If you hit enough.
I mean, in a team fight,
Yeah.
level 16, yeah.
So we're given an AD carry with long range. With his Q, he's like longer range than like any AD carry. And we're giving him flash on that shorter cooldown on a regular ability. Okay, yeah.
That seems fair to me.
Yeah, seems really balanced. You know, I feel like there's a lot of champions, if you frame it in that way, they don't sound okay.
I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah?
I think that's fine. Ezreal.
Ezreal's okay?
Yeah. He's good. I mean, a lot of times, I feel like it's a compounding issue because he has such a safe laning phase that it's very difficult for him to get behind as well. So we see so many games where he just does this. And Lance, I applaud you for not using your ult. Because I was worried.
This is kind of the Lucian army thing.
Yeah.
But it's just Ezreal. Just stand mid and just poke everyone out and they can't walk up to you.
Yeah. You don't get behind, and oftentimes you get ahead. Because he got so strong and his Qs do so much damage that you win lane, actually. And you get into positions like these where you are insanely fed.
Yeah, Pace has a Shiv, by the way. And aiming is approaching Triforce Manamute. Like, he already has the item, he just needs to stack it.
Yeah.
Well, good luck ever just appearing mid.
Uh-oh. Lucid.
They can't kill Lucid.
No, he's very strong. You know, even though they're trying to give every single coin to aiming, it's not spring season anymore. Yeah. And Lucid at least gets to farm a little bit.
I love how this graph is like, FaZe is like, oh, I got Shiv. And Aim's like, oh, you got Shiv?
Uh-oh, Lance. He's going to have to ult here, and that he does. He's still being slowed up, and Ezreal still exists as, yeah, he's just trying to walk it off desperately. One more Q would do it, but Canyon is going to take the hit. But now you lost your Alistar in mid.
Yeah, this is what you get for trying to exist. They're going to have to TP Chovy to try and defend this. Down, so...
Okay, Arrow is good aiming. He's going to be hit by it, but he does get out. Lucid is going to have to pay the price, but here's Showmaker. They trade the kill back. Kingen trying to hop away. Spear will miss, and now the kiting is coming back. The kite ability of this DK comp, you can really feel it, but they certainly got caught out a bit there in mid.
This champ with the flash on like an 8-second cooldown, you know? It's so OP. No, I think Aiming played that really well after the fact that he got caught. Obviously not ideal to get hit by the arrow, but the response very quick to avoid the shuffle. If Chovy had hit him with that, the shutdown might have been a just big team fight win for the side of GENG. Maybe they could get another kill out the back of that, would have been willing to chase more. So managing to avoid disaster there, but you still got to be cautious about the threats. I think LCK fans very aware of what Azir can do to AD carries.
Yep.
Nothing new here.
They've experienced both sides of that. Here is aiming in mid. He takes out the mid turret as well. And this is right before the first Infernal Drake is about to spawn. Did he just steal that too?
Oh my god.
And look at this, the range. It's just incredible. If they get ahead, LeBlanc is just so oppressive.
This is the evolution of aiming. He's gone from stealing his own jungler's camps to stealing the other jungler's camps. Much more effective.
Kane's just waiting. He does have TP, so if they do want to fight over this Infernal Drake, which at this point in time doesn't look like they're in a position to.
And you know, this game obviously isn't going nearly as badly as the last one. But right now, we're honestly staring down a 2-0 loss for GENG. That is the direction it is going in right now. It's a 3K gold lead for D+, and they're looking to secure another Dragon. GENG just wasted Herald.
Yeah. I mean, it was about to time out, I think, and now they're looking to take the fight here, but that's an engage on a Meganar from Lehens. He does have Flash, but maybe just trying to peel for the team, make sure he doesn't get in, but now Keen is being walked down the lane. And, I mean, you can just play with the Zax. This is what the LeBlanc does to him, and thankfully he gets a disengage cone to survive, otherwise he wouldn't have. Here's Kingen over the wall, looking to pressure in on this one, just a straight up 4v4. Showmaker does not have teleport, but is trying to come back in this one as...
Wait, Showmaker's still chasing.
Yeah, he's still chasing him, actually. Look at the damage, but somehow GENG's still able to get it, and now Lucid has to flash away. Lehens is going to flash himself to get over the wall. As GENG, they sneak away the Infernal Drake.
Delicate situation. Oh, okay. Good hook shot from Pays there to scout out the LeBlanc. Showmaker is hunting right now.
Uh-oh, Pays.
Saw the LeBlanc. He's fine. He's good. He knew. He was aware. Yeah, so it could have been a disaster, but Showmaker did a good job of stopping Keen from teleport. Obviously, not having to teleport himself. If Keen was able to get back and join the fight, that could have honestly been just a teamfight win for GENG. They were kind of getting the health bars of D+ low quite effectively. But in the end, GENG managed to get the Dragon and disengage. Definitely felt touch and go, but you're 3K gold down, you're against a fed Ezreal in the mid game, and you secure Dragon, no casualties. I'll take it.
Yeah.
They'll take it.
I really don't know how they managed that, but it kind of was a stalemate into a bit of a poke war, and perhaps aiming wasn't really hitting all his stuff, and Showmaker wasn't there, so they didn't have the LeBlanc to help out, and Lucid was trying to near the Dragon, but he was taking a bunch of damage as he was doing it, so eventually Pays had confidence to step up and start autoing him, and then eventually Lucid just had to abandon ship, so kind of turned into this really awkward stalemate for DK where they just kind of had to all jump ship, and
oh, and it looks like Chovy
got the
is going the more tanky, like actual tank item Azir build.
Yeah.
Has picked up that Negatron cloak already.
So we saw Aiming get hit by a spear. It didn't really hurt all too much, but then he did miss all of his Qs. So
yeah,
he's got to be good about hitting those.
I've heard that skill shots do less damage if you miss them.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. He does have a Vamp Scepter, so any amount of damage he takes is just going to be taken back. And Pays, if you're ever caught in this situation against LeBlanc or Ezreal, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, you just can't challenge him in the mid lane. And what are they supposed to do? Because now Kellen has Mikhail's. This is actually a non-cleanse Ezreal into an Ashe, but it's because you have Kellen rushing this item first, so if an arrow connects, they have the easy answer, and with no flash on the Hens, how else are you going to close the distance on this Ezreal?
Yeah, you don't have the engage support, but actually, look at this. Some vision here on a Kingen, and he's going to utilize his own disengage cone
How'd you feel about
to
that?
survive. Well, I feel horrible about it, but you know, what am I going to do? Just avoiding as much action here as we possibly can. Either way, not going to kill the Gnar this time. And yeah, we're just still sitting here at 2-1. But DK, a very natural lead, slowly but surely taken here by them.
Oh, that spear did some damage. For now, you know, and then he'll heal it up with Vamp Scepter. No, he's actually recalling, so wouldn't even need to.
Another turret to fall. That's the third tier 1 turret taken down by D+ Kia.
This feels very gradual pushing advantages, and I feel like with how that composition functions, you know, the Gnar side lane pressure, the poke, and the threat of the LeBlanc Ezreal, they will just like pick apart a team. They will just like peck and jab and bite here, but committing to a full 5v5 is dangerous. And I think they are very aware of that. Abyssal Mask finished for Chovy. So if he gets up close and personal, we'll have a lot of value with that one. Definitely going for this more bulky build. We have the Seekers who can build the Zhonyas. We'll have a bunch of armor, bunch of health, bunch of MR. Just to try and mitigate all this damage that Showmaker and Aiming are doing right now.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of damage was done since the last Dragon, but there have been no kills since the last Dragon. So we're kind of resetting here as once again we're trying to engage onto the Alistar. And it has kind of worked for DK. They've gotten value out of it, but not necessarily the best target on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, they do a decent job of trying to force the ult and get him low. They're looking for it here.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do it again as Lehens does get in front of that, so Peas doesn't have to flash or cleanse. TP also going to be forced here by both of our mid laners, as both of them will be ready for this Infernal Drake fight as the spears, man. Canyon just keeps hitting Aiming.
Yeah, Aiming standing next to Terrain, so he can't actually see the spear coming. Worked against him, bit of poke there from Chovy. Aiming is going to heal up a fair amount.
Oh, now they engage onto the minion. King and in a lot of trouble, but so is the Lehens. Lehens goes down just like that. Showmaker sees the angle, and Lehens didn't have ult, and they knew it. As now trying to pressure on a Chovy, eating into Chovy. Aiming gets McHale's though, and now they're being walked by both Karma and LeBlanc. The issue though is that's only damage in the Keen, and they have heals from this Nidalee.
Yeah, Chovy's tankiness paying a lot of dividends there, but the TP flank coming in.
Yeah, they wanted this move up, but I don't think they're gonna get it, and they might just die as well. Chovy by himself, he's very tanky, but it's not gonna matter all too much. Taken down, Keen is in the back line here trying to do something, but he's tethered up by both Karma and LeBlanc again. Another one-team fight for D plus Kia, and they will get this Infernal Drake.
D plus managing to navigate it. A great TP from Kingen in the extended trade. GENG probably thinking they've won it out. They have a Nidalee, they have the sustain, but now health bars are low, and they hit a contest.
See if they can. They land that spear on a Lucid, and that might be the angle. The true shot for us goes wide. That one hits Canyon, but now they engage on the Lucid. He's in a rough spot. Showmaker goes down. Aiming has to try to 1v3. He's got a Sejuani, but that's not going to work. Aiming goes down, and GENG win the fight and the Drake.
A series of overstays. D plus punish GENG, but GENG strike back. Not going down 2-0 in this series yet. They will take the Dragon, secure that third, and move straight over to that Baron. This is a team we've been waiting for all day. They've finally shown up.
They're finally here, as the D plus Kia fans are like, oh, that wasn't great. GENG starts off like this.
And this was so scrappy. I think big things to note is obviously Lehens not having the ultimate becomes such a vulnerable target. Showmaker just one-hitting him. And then Showmaker's waiting for cooldowns and Kingen's low. So the fight gets a bit slow from here. But the TP re-engage comes in, and it gets very messy. Chovy dashing in to try and get the shield, just ends up paying for it here. Gets an ult onto Aiming, trying to knock them in a Keen. Keen can't do more to follow up, and it looks really solid for D plus off the back of that. But here, health bars are low, and Pays just remains untouched pretty much this entire time.
I think he's saying we have to stop them. And no, they did. And they provide the front line. He's already calling Baron right after that team fight. And you know what? GENG are right back in the driver's seat. 2 Infernal Drakes and a Hextech Drake and Baron. Let's see what this Baron power play
and you know
looks like.
The gold lead, only 1,000 in favor of D plus now. The extra stats from the 2 Infernal Dragons as well gonna comfortably make up for that. So the game feels a lot more even, but now it's GENG trying to get value out of this Baron. That tower mid is so low, you can see D plus are trying to keep the minions away, Aiming, using the shield for the Bloodthirst to mitigate any of the harass, and you can just stand so far forward, so aggressive. They will send Keen down bot lane to try and pick up that tier 1, but mid tier 1 is the goal. That is what GENG want to get. The sooner they crack that, the sooner they can make progress on the rest of the towers.
Yeah. But still, you know, given enough time, D plus Kia is able to clear a lot of the wave. This one being a cannon wave, maybe GENG are able to get close enough. They get that tier 1 in bot, as you were mentioning. GENG as a team just kind of pulling out of the mid lane.
And, you know, the tower's so low, but it feels like a slight bit lower. Yeah, I mean, they could just do this.
Well, there you go.
If it was a little lower, they could just actually dive D plus. and then plant the Azir tower. But D+ eventually back off. They don't hold any longer. Maybe they realized that was a possibility. And now with a minute left of the Baron, the siege continues onto this tier 2.
No, the ult's not going to hit anyone, and Lahen's just going to ult ahead of time just to make sure. Looks like he thought he was going to be hit by that.
Yeah, I think a big thing with Alistar is very easy to ult too late and just already be dead. So he pre-ults, doesn't end up really needing it, but it does force D+ to back off, and they also built that Sejuani ult.
Yeah.
Ian will get the tower and back away, and it looks like GENG have said, that's enough. We have 20 seconds on the Baron. Gold, they're now ahead by about 500. They will spend and feel a lot better about their state in this game.
Yeah, finish Zhonya's for Chovy if they ever do go for a fight, and everybody's just going to be ready for it. So now we kind of have an even game state. Obviously, GENG feel like they're in the lead with these dragons, and this is going to get pretty interesting. I do wonder if DK now can pull themselves out of the hole they have dug for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Chovy's so tanky now. 151 armor, 125 MR, but he's got almost 3.5k HP, which is a lot. I think it's very safe to say, especially as he is level 17, currently highest in the game. So a lot of that poke, a lot of that damage, a lot of that chip isn't going to just have nearly as much impact on a Chovy. I will say that we've seen in this game, you know, dealing with a LeBlanc and an Ezreal not nearly as easy on the Azir, but he definitely has the stats to try and mitigate a lot of that threat.
He absolutely does. I mean, he provides an extra front line for the team that essentially just has Alistar, I mean, Jax as well, but more of like a opportunistic, I'm going to jump in and make a play kind of frontliner. Same for the Aziras. Now, once again, Infernal Drake fight. GENG were able to get the last two. The first one we could hardly believe. The second one, also very contentious.
This one needs to be denied by D+. Good poke.
I like that angle, man. He expected them to push out as now they're trying to get in onto aiming, and there's nowhere for him to go as finally the cleanse comes in, and he gets away, but the Jax flanks him. Down goes the Ezreal. That's so much gold taken out of the pockets of DK, and GENG find the angle as Kagan's gonna go down, Lucid's gonna fall, GENG will pick up Infernal Soul.
Don't think they'll be able to end right now. Showmaker makes the right move and clears out the wave, but damage has been done. Infernal Soul secured. Gold lead in the bag as well. GENG are back with a vengeance.
Oh, and now Pace trying to punish Showmaker. I don't know if he can actually catch up to him. And yeah, Showmaker will be fine. But man, couple of team fights in the game is GENG's.
And it looks initially fantastic for D+. That poke is massive, but aiming shifts in. The arrow hidden by Chovy's body connects on an aiming. The shuffle comes through. And credit to Kellen, keeps him alive for so long with the Mikhails and the shield. But Keen comes in on the flank to finish him off. And with the Ezreal down, as you said, so much gold value lost. So much power in the team fights. And they kind of just crumble from there. GENG now 5,000 gold up and Soul in pocket. This is the map state we expect to see in a GENG game in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. It took a while to see it, but here we are as the arrows are just reigning supreme.
Not as good as the last one.
Not as good as the last one, but it's still a lot of pressure. As Showmaker trying to make this LeBlanc continue to work, he is going to land the stun, but Paze will be fine. We do have Baron spawning right about now.
Yep. And you know, the Mikhails came in pretty late, as you said, because Kellen wasn't close enough to aiming, but aiming went for barrier and not the cleanse here. I wonder if that's a decision he feels regret about after that last fight. GENG moving up towards the Baron. Got so much value from that last one. I find it kind of feels like they've just chained really the value of it.
This is Azir turret. There's a trinket to come down, but they know they're late. I mean, they see it when it's at 7K, and the amount of damage coming out from GENG's comp is insane. And Kellen, nicely done.
That's actually pretty slick. You know, timing the Mikhails to self-use it because you have to pre-use it. So nice moves from Kellen. But ultimately, that's still a big cooldown bin. The Mikhails cooldown's a lot longer than the Ash Arrow, so yeah. GENG happy to have gotten that one. Good aim from Paze there.
A little bit of poke is coming out trying to push Canyon back, trying to push GENG back, but it just feels almost inevitable at this point in time, as the poke from the side of Jovi and Canyon seems to be even larger. Now the ult's going to be thrown in, not going to hit Jovi. We do see Lahen's on the front line as Showmaker gets pretty low. Keen following in and kills the clone. Kingen goes into his GA. And now you've just got the entire team right on top of him. Down he will go, and Jovi's looking for the angle. The arrow comes in, hits the support, and GENG are looking to extend this to 3.
Look at take all the way. Showmaker comes in, but is easily dissuaded.
Lucid's just being burnt to a crisp. There's just nowhere for him to go. And just like that, GENG, they get the Infernal Soul. They pick up game number 2. And we will have a full series here between GENG and D+Kia.
And I'm going to say, for a good portion of that game, it looked like we were getting a 2-0. It looked like GENG just crumbled, but they find their window. They find their way back in. A beautiful team fight. And then it felt like from there, they never gave another chance over to D+. And that's the thing, you take your foot off the pedal for a second and they will claim the victory. That's why game 1 kind of had to be that way, such a stomp, because we've had games where GENG they haven't always been ahead early, but their ability to claw back the game and take control is just so strong. That's why they've been so hard to beat. And D+, you know, they took one, but it takes more than that to fell GENG in a series.
Yeah. You see the damage pretty high for aiming and even Showmaker, but unfortunately in key moments, aiming gets caught, Showmaker not able to do enough, as GENG were able to just stick together as a ball, and they get the job done one way or another. They claw their way back in game number 2, and they bring us to a game 3. Guys, we're going to take a break and have the space to break this one down. We'll be right back.
나르만 한번 박을게. 기다려 힐 좀. 나 힐.
나 2호초 2호초. 이거 나를 빼도 되긴 해.
대항을 한번 조심. 때려 놓고. 나를 빨리 나 뺏고. 이거 천천히 나르부터 잡아야 돼.
르블랑 개피야 르블랑 개피.
나 이거 미카엘 없거든 얘네.
나 이거 텔.
보자.
나 텔로 올게 이거.
나풀 떴고. 빼줘 너플.
해줘. 한 번 뺄게. 나 탱 끝.
나탱 좀.
So for D+ to take this one, they just need a reset after that game 2 mishap. And 2 times in a row, they've just completely had control of the early game. We'll see if they're able to do that again.
You see the mix-up in the draft this time. Again, it's just, oh, another one. Lee Sinban instead of Sejuani, and now Ezreal instead of the LeBlanc, and they'll still first pick Nidalee.
We've been talking about this Ezreal needing to be banned, though. It's so strong. I feel like one of the problems is Tristana's still really strong. On 14-14, she's nerfed. That's going to free up some space in the bans. Rumble's scheduled to get nerfs as well, so I think just the early bans are so saturated right now. But Nidalee gets picked, and D+ toying with the idea of an Ashe. You can't Arcane Shift in on Ashe, but you also can't Arcane Shift out.
Yeah.
And they opt to go with the Callisto, which I think has been one of Aiming's better picks. I'm going to say I'm not a fan of him on a mobile carries, but he can make the Callisto work well. And Lucid's bringing out the Viego. So a lot of skirmishing power in these two picks already. If you get a 3v3 on bot side, very easy to just have them run away with it.
Yeah. At the same time, though, Viego hasn't been one of our top-tier picks. I know that Lucid does like it, kind of like Cuz, but it didn't have success there, even against Pro. Again, that's not all because of Viego, but pretty interesting to go for those, as now it looks like we're going the Senna angle for the side of GENG alongside of Chovy's Azir.
Interesting they don't prioritize the Nord. D+ in this series and the last one have banned Nautilus first rotation 3 times total. And with the opportunity to take the center Nord, GENG decline. Maybe concerned about playing Nautilus into Kalista Renata. Not a fun time. So they don't lock it in. They lock in Chovy's Azir again. Obviously made the big play of the last game. Well, I mean, to be honest, it was honestly Pays, but the shuffle coming in clutch to punish aiming. But D+ Kia have a very powerful 2v2 in the bot lane. And my real question is, what are you going to pair with this Senna to be able to outmatch that? And also, do you just have to swap to avoid the early levels against the Kalista Renata? I guess we'll get to see. Right now, though, top lane bans coming out. The K'Sante getting taken away by D+. They will be getting counter pick for Kingans, so trying to eliminate these blinds that can be taken. Taliyah gets banned, and Showmaker finds this hilarious. He's like, they think I was going to play Taliyah?
Yeah. I don't think he was going to play Taliyah, although with the Viego, I guess, maybe.
Look how devious he is looking. I mean, the thing is with
Still
Viego,
banning Nautilus, even with Renata Glass.
With Viego, like some of the good pairings, Ahri, you know, works well with it. But even he could bring out the little Blanc again.
Blanc, yeah. I think you should ban that here. Not Taliyah.
Honestly, the fact they have no setup for the Taliyah kind of makes... I mean, I know Taliyah's pick locked into Azir. I guess that's a thought process. The TF ban... You know, Kingen shows nothing emotionally. Somber-faced. We don't get the same read as we did from Showmaker.
You don't have to blind pick your top laner right now. There's really no reason unless you really want to get Gnar as fast as you possibly can. The fans are going crazy every new hover. Ziggs!
Oh! Yeah, bring out the Ziggs. Good matchup into Azir. Azir is one of these picks where he's not short-ranged, but he struggles. A lot of his counters are those long-range picks like the Xerath, and Ziggs is a good matchup as well. Normally you make up for that by shuffling them, but Ziggs, you know, the satchel can make it very hard to approach. That being said, Ziggs and Viego, both champions who like setup. No engage from D+ Kia right now. And GENG go for the Maokai bottom, point-and-click CC for that Kalista. And the Renekton to basically ensure that Canyon has all the setup needed. You know, the devs talked about this. Landing a spear is going to be very simple.
Why are they all laughing the whole time? What are you picking? Okay, GP could be the choice here. It is the hover. Will it be the lock-in? Yes, it will be. GP into Renekton in the top lane. Into Renekton Nidalee, I should say.
You know, I like the champs. I like some of the champs D+ have. I think you know I'm a big Ziggs fan.
Yeah, me too.
But they are very much lacking engage and just CC in general. Teams in Pro, I was going to say in LCK, but just in Pro, tend to like having engage and lockdown, and they have handshake, Viego W,
Fate's Call,
Ziggs satchel. Not working with a lot in this situation, I'm going to be honest, so may have some struggles if they don't pull ahead in lane. That being said, Kellen's last Renata game had a fantastic performance. He was playing the engaged Renata.
That's what that sign says. It says win with a period.
Well, they have been doing a lot of that, generally speaking.
This one literally says do it, and I mean...
And by it, they mean win this.
Yeah. It's like do it for us, basically. Get it done. It's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would translate that one. I'd probably get it done as close as you can get. Well, this looks like a pretty good comp.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this looks like GENG are pretty happy with this one. And this one, like I said, matchup bot, they should have a lot of strength. Matchup mid, I love the Ziggs, but I don't see it meshing together so well.
Let's see how it goes. Game 3, GENG, D plus Kia.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we go. The D plus Kia fans, they want a series win. They got their crying out after the game win. You know, they stopped the record. They made their own
It's just like
piece of history.
You know when you watch your typical blockbuster film?
Yeah.
Starts off all pleasant, and then you get to the midpoint and some disaster happens. Oh no, everything's going badly. Whatever will we do? And then the redemption arc, the final Act 3, right? This is the Act 3 game. D plus fans want the whole trajectory. They want the whole just absolute cinema.
It's a lot to ask. I'll say that. It's a lot to ask. It might happen. It would be crazy if they beat this comp with what they picked.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of laughing going on. I feel like there are some PowerPoints for the side of D plus Kia, but as a cohesive 5-man unit, I like GENG's comp a bit more.
Here's my one pitch, and this isn't really a pitch like I think this is good. This is a pitch in that I think it would be very funny, okay?
Okay,
if
hilarious.
FaZe doesn't have Flash, and Kingen Cannon Barrage is on top of him, and Showmaker ults on top of him, I think he just dies. Oh, also Showmaker go on Presence of Mind cut down on the Ziggs. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this, especially when you have bulkier targets to cut through. You know, we've seen a lot less people go on the Seraph's Embrace on Ziggs because, you know, you actually want to do damage. But Presence of Mind can sort of help you in those longer fights against tankier targets to keep the mana up. But also, cut down is so good now. Such a good rune. If you're above 50% HP, you take 8% extra damage. Like, what's there to complain about on Ziggs?
Not much. Not much at all. I would say it's pretty good. Kingen and Keen hitting level 2 at the same time. And already Keen trying to zone him out of XP, which he is doing. I think 1 minion fell as Kingen was out of range. But we had the zoom-ins. Not 100% sure. Either way, that's kind of what Renekton does early on.
Yeah, and also Showmaker with the pool party Ziggs skin, which we all know is the best skin.
You know, it does make the bombs look smaller than they actually are. Pace has not...
Nice splish noise.
It does. It has some good audio. Pace is not lost on Senna. Hasn't happened. And Renata Glask. Kellen's been having a nice little redemption arc of his own. And Renata Glask is definitely his main champ.
Yeah. Definitely had some great performances on it. So far, Lehens has 4 CS.
Yes.
And Aiming has 21, which is a lot more
Indeed.
than 4. They have actually just let FaZe take a decent amount of the farm because there are circumstances where the Maokai just won't get them. And even though obviously getting souls on Senna is big, the gold is more valuable. Like, the purpose of fasting Senna is that a champion gets the gold and Senna gets the value from the souls. But if the champion isn't going to get the gold, Senna should just take the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're actually getting the push back now. And you see that...
And it's actually, they haven't even gone the support item on Senna. So it looks like this was their strategy to sort of share the farm when they knew Maokai wouldn't necessarily be able to contest. So it's interesting to see who will end up getting a support item later, is what I'm wondering. Because something that I think, you know, Bloodsong has been nerfed so much, and specifically for Senna, the effect of it is based on your base AD. It's a Sheen effect. Senna's base AD never changes. It's 50 for the whole game. So she does get less value than other champs. That being said, I think they might just be sending FaZe back to pick it up. Like, they've navigated the lane.
They say no, and that's a handshake. FaZe will be kept around for now.
No recall for you.
And, I mean, this is Kalista Renata. Kalista, nearly 70% win rate. It doesn't get played all too often. Actually, it doesn't... It has decently high presence. It's at like 74%, 75% before today's series. And it's only 9 and 5.
Yeah, I think a ton of Kalista bans, ultimately.
Yeah.
And then often if Kalista's picked, they're like, you can't have them get Renata, you know, as it is such a strong duo. And FaZe has now picked up a support item. So we'll be going that Blood Song, and the Hens will be retaining farm. They're still down in farm, don't get me wrong, but this is such a lane-dominant duo. There's such a scaling-heavy duo. So I think you have to go into it accepting you're going to be at a deficit, and it's about minimization. The strategy they did there clearly was attempting to share the farm when the Hens couldn't reach it. And now the Hens is going to be able to get it back and hopefully have enough money to make himself bulkier so that he can walk up and contest the farm without getting bursted. I feel like this is something GENG have been very good at, honestly, since MSI. And I think that bot lane has been playing so much better, basically MSI onwards. But they've done such a good job at knowing how and when to mitigate bad matchups in the bot lane or when things are just going to go terribly. Lane swapping was a huge factor in it. But obviously here, knowing you're going into the situation when you're playing into Kalista with a melee farmer and just trying to ensure that you're not going to lose the lane in the first 2 or 3 minutes. I feel like T1 being your big domestic rivals definitely forces you to innovate in how to deal with brutal bot lanes.
It definitely has, and they have learned over the last couple of years. In fact, they've won some championships in that time. FaZe is just running around the map, getting a ton of souls. There's not too many kills happening, so Jonas Strong is just highlighting FaZe going everywhere, getting souls, got them on the dragon, killed the dragon, went up to the grubs, got the grubs. He's sitting at 27 souls already. And you talked about mitigation. I mean, yes, it's GP, and he's going to be getting some gold naturally, but this Renekton is a big problem right now for him as he's down more than 20 CS.
Yeah, and this is one of the sort of concerns is that even though the bot matchup's obviously good, mid matchup's solid, he's not having a good time in top. And yes, like D+'s composition has late game champions, but I feel like, as I said before, the entire top side of D+ would love someone to hold people in place. I feel like those champions thrive off them. Like most of the pairings you put with Viego have hard CC as a core part of their kit. And Ziggs, we've seen paired with Leona so much because Leona has hard CC.
Yes, she does. I just wonder where they would have changed it up. It seemed like they didn't want to play Maokai into Nidalee, so they picked Viego. They go Kalista Renata in the first other 2 picks in the first phase, and then they pick Ziggs GP.
Yeah.
So either you go for like the R you were mentioning, or you got to pick something with a lot of CC in the top lane that wasn't banned.
It kind of feels like that sort of solo queue draft where everyone's thinking about their matchup and what is best for their matchup and not about the composition as a whole. Whereas GENG is very clear. I mean, he's got some good wave clear. Nidalee's there as well to give cover. But it's clear like the center Maokai, like the Maokai in particular, like you're not picking that because you're like, oh, I'm going to have a fun time in a Kalista Renata. You're picking that because you're like, I want my Nidalee to play the game.
And eventually she will, because Lehens can just press R and force fights, or if Kalista tries to get anything going with it, speaking of which, just going to press R here as the Cannon Barrage comes down, but do they care is the question. That's the RNG, and actually now King is totally fine. A lot of damage already done to Lehens as now the Ziggs bomb from downtown. Showmaker going to pick up the kill.
Easiest gank ever from Showmaker. Walks a couple of steps and just grabs that cleanup. But ambitious dive from GENG. The Cannon Barrage came in. They could have just taken that. But instead they committed fully. And now Keen, no ult, has flash. TP will come in. And D+, they make the correct decision to back off.
I mean, they back off, but they don't have to fully disengage.
Yeah.
They back away, they do extra poke, and now they're still here.
But they don't continue the dive until they die to a Ziggs ult.
Yeah, that's true. Now we're getting a little 1v1 here between Lucid and Canyon. Lucid in a bit of trouble, though. Maybe not expecting this. Has to flash away. Meanwhile, Showmaker kind of getting into the thick of it. As, the sapling and a force fates call. And Aiming's like, man, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Backing.
He's leaving.
I've had enough.
Well, he's not actually. He's going to collect the wave. Canyon has spotted Kellen and will just keep forcing him away.
Do it again. No, okay, they're not.
Yeah, so a lot of poking and prodding in this game so far. You know, we haven't had many kills, but both teams trying to find angles and just being matched so far.
We got Lahens up against Kingen until Pays makes his way up.
Oh, man. Showmaker went the Archangels build.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention it. Now he's going to have an insane amount of mana.
Yeah, you know what? You can have too much mana. You know?
You can, yeah.
You can definitely have too much mana. It is what it is, you know? Definitely APA, the Ziggs savant who knows what to build. But I just feel like, you know, you get so much more value by prioritizing damage. And in a game like this, like, who's really jumping on top of the Ziggs? I guess Renekton, but Ziggs is very good at dealing with Renekton.
Yeah. Extremely good. Throw down a satchel, say goodbye. Throw down some mines. Now, we do have a lot of grubs going the way of GENG. Looks like they will.
Wait, he's... Oh. You know... I thought he'd just gone for the Saras, but no, he's gone Tyrion or Ludens. So based, Showmaker.
He is pretty based. He generally has really good builds.
He wants to do the damage. You know, that's why I felt so upset about it. I'm like, come on.
He built well the last time he played Ziggs as well.
That's on me. That's on me.
Yeah.
You know, I take responsibility.
Ox sushed.
Yeah, very.
Honestly. A Hextech Soul does come through, though, so you did well on that one. Now, we do have, you know, a bit of plates traded here, but it's 6 grubs for GENG, as I was mentioning before. Meanwhile, Lahens is probably dead. He is very alone on the bottom side. Honestly, okay, well, they have the TP, so now they have to back away. So that's just a turret going the way of GENG. Meanwhile, DK not able to get too much else just yet.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the hallmarks of teams playing around Ziggs well is how often they can get them to contribute towards towers. That tower bot is so close to being taken down. If they'd moved Showmaker there, it would be gone. They will utilize his ult just to defend this top tier 2, but I'm going to be honest, it wasn't going to die anyway. And the pressure continues to mount. Showmaker is currently trapped in the tower.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you, Ox, it was on a day where you weren't working, but the last time Showmaker played Ziggs, he played it well, but he did not move lanes to try to take turrets or turret plates. So
I don't like it.
He's just stuck in mid.
Nobody's fantasy, right?
Nobody's getting him in
play
mid.
this champion is to destroy towers specifically with plates on them, because it makes, like, when you kill 2 plates at once, it makes like the double little. It just sounds so good.
Yes, please describe.
It's so
describe
satisfying.
sound.
You know, like the little cha-ching sort of. You get, but like it overlaps because you take 2 plates.
Yeah.
That is the only reason you play this champion. Let's be real.
That's
right.
Delicious.
It's what you live for. It's your lifeblood.
Kind of like when GP, I'm going to have to hold that thought, as thrown over the roots, but still going to get rooted, as Lahens is in a bit of trouble, but does have Flash. Can he get away from all of the stuff that DK is using? He's just going to accept his fate, it looks like, as a bunch of damage is done to Kellen, but he just sidesteps the Senna ult.
Easy as that.
And a nice little gank comes in for DK.
Yeah, good play. And GENG don't really have opportunity to do anything in return. Herald not up for 30 seconds. And Chovy continuing to pressure in the mid lane. Yeah, we can see big gold lead in the top lane. And Keen looking for something potentially here.
Yeah.
Grubs in a wave. They should just be able to get this.
This is what I was worried about. I mean, it comes very late, but it's still Renekton Italy. Now, you didn't have to dive as Ziggs ult was coming in, but you push him away, you get the turret. It's still the goal you were looking for.
Yeah, Ziggs doing as much as he can to prevent these pushes in the side lanes, but unfortunately doesn't prevent the tower going down. And this is why you play Renekton Italy, you know? You want to have that power in the top lane. Play gold. GENG massively in favor there. You can see it reflecting that 1.3k gold lead. And I think, you know, total gold isn't always a great indicator of how far ahead a team is.
Nice little angle. That's a handshake, but Chovy is Azir.
Yeah.
Part of why this champion gets played so much.
Total gold not always a fantastic indicator, because like the expectation is D+'s bot lane is going to have a gold lead, but you know, they're also going to fall off in comparison. Right now though, D+ looking for the Herald, and they could use that to take down tier 1 mid if they pair it with Ziggs very easily.
Well, it is full health. I think they would need the charge and a little bit of extra damage.
Charge 1 auto and a
1 Ziggs auto, so that means Showmaker needs to get in there.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I mean, we're talking all about the Ziggs and stuff, but He's just been stuck in mid the whole game. Meanwhile, GENG are just taking top outer, top inner, bottom outer, doing more damage to the middle outer than the Ziggs is.
Yep.
Doing to the opposite side. So at the end of the day, like GENG, there's not a lot of action in this game, and yeah, they've had a couple of ganks go the way of Lehens, but I don't think he really cares when his team is ahead.
I think he is completely unfazed. I think that is a trademark of Lehens, just being completely uncaring when he dies. And the thing is, you know, this Maokai is going to be stronger than a typical support Maokai, obviously, because he has the gold. And Maokai's value in teamfights is just so huge, you know? I think DK with this composition needed really to get ahead, and they haven't been able to so far. And yes, they have the Ziggs GP who are capable of throwing out a ton of damage, but have to see if they can connect that. Right now, Theory Dragon's coming up. It's a Hextech Soul, so a big priority. Both teams seem to be posturing around that area. Chovy will even throw down a turret.
Mana Brush coming on in. Chovy's found an angle himself. He's level 12 and threatening from the bottom side as the Strake is coming up. It's not a Chemtech Soul, it's Hextech, so everybody's going to be fighting over this one. And right now, the poke advantage is going the way of GENG. Canyon has just been so accurate all day long, even in their loss. At that point, the spears weren't doing much. But here comes the Rift Herald right down the mid lane. And it's just...
Oh, gets the charge.
Okay, little charge, but not too much damage.
I expected it to do more, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit more. Maybe what do they need? 2 Ziggs autos.
And now it's like, well...
They're just giving up Dragon. Oh.
Yeah, just take it, I guess.
Guys, it's fine. We'll just scale. Callista, farm up. You are our late game carry.
That's the thing. I mean, on both sides, you have a lot of scaling and then also stuff that works really well early on. On the side of GENG, it's Renekton and Italy. Obviously, on the side of DK, it's Callista Renata. But, like, they both have ways to scale up to the late game, and I feel like GENG are going to be fine going up against GP Ziggs when their Azir is super fed and the Senna's doing just fine and collecting a lot of souls, especially with low action and never dying.
You know what I just saw? The blue buff died and a soul spawned, and Pays finished channeling recall instead of picking it up. That is a level of restraint you can't teach.
That's just natural.
Yeah, you're either born with that level of restraint or you're not, right?
Yeah.
You can't force someone to do that.
And that's why Pays is the GOAT. Now, little fight actually brewing up here, and they have Maokai, so you press R, you enable in Italy. It's all the stuff we talked about. The Renata does come out, but Kellen's just dead. TP comes out here from the side of King, and they're trying to get on top of Keen, and they will get the reset. Lucid, little angle for him, as now the barrel's going to be hitting this front line, the Hens, though not going to be fully committed to, as Chovy is barreling up the river. But Showmaker also did TP for just that tree.
Yeah, so Chovy not being there, definitely a big factor. D+ managed to get the turnaround. I think the big standout for me in that one was Pays. There was 3 souls under the tower, and he just ran past them. That's too much for me. Oh my.
Can't teach that restraint.
That's maybe too much restraint, you know? Some interesting camera angles. This tower's just going to go down. 6 point drops does that.
Oh boy, and look at this.
Man.
Gonna be Eagle caught as Chovy just gonna put him down. And no chance, no redemption for him. And Kellen's just on the run. You might get the little disengage cone, but I mean, kind of still on the chase here. We got a root coming in, but nice fancy feet from the side of Kellen to get himself out of dodge.
Doesn't even have to burn flash, you know. I think Kellen was always getting out with the flash, but the fact that it doesn't have to burn it is pretty big there. And GENG, 3,000 gold ahead, definitely setting the pace on this game. Yeah, look at the tower. 3 souls. Doesn't care. Unfazed. He's like, I'm going for kills, right? I want the souls of champions.
And he got one.
Gets on there, and then they have to disengage because they're kind of playing into both the Ziggs damage, sorry, the GP damage from the ultimate and the barrels. And then here, just very slick from Chovy, slams the tower, flips Lucid over, and they just kill him through the Renata W.
It feels like they wanted to use engage flank Renata there, but the tower died so fast and Chovy went forward that Kellen just ended up having no effect and Lucid just died. Yeah. The rest of the team couldn't even get there, so there was no play for DK, and they got baited into a really awkward spot that just left Lucid dead. And Chovy, meanwhile, we've talked about how there's not a lot of action in this game. 244 CS in 20 minutes.
He is chovying real hard right now, I think it's safe to say.
I mean, the numbers are insane. And the Chovy has gone off the charts at this point.
Yeah. I think especially it's something you can do, particularly with like a Senna on your team, because, you know, the Hens are still farming, but I think he missed that cannon.
He can give over the farm to the Azir.
Yeah, he can give over his farm to the Azir, so you just end up allocating more resources onto Chovy. Pays is happy just for the souls.
Meanwhile, all that farm is going into aiming's Callista, which at 30 minutes, is that going to have as much effect as the Azir? I would say no.
Signs would point to no.
The benefits of Senna, no bounds.
You know, that is my criticism of Lahens this game. Siesta needs work, you know, on Maokai specifically. A couple of minions missed as we've been watching.
Oh, a little handshake. That's just a Nidalee. He's not very tanky, but he does get away.
And we'll just heal up immediately. That's one thing as well, is that the poke from D+, quite easy to mitigate with what GENG have in their composition. King.
Oh, they know he was in the brush, and now Kingan's in a lot of trouble, has to flash away. They're following under the turret.
Yeah.
Be careful about that, but they get the flash.
Good flash. Pays actually through the route in the sort of direction where it would hit him, or if he flashed like straight along the wall, it would also hit him. So good flash from Kingan, holds his nerve, gets away, but before she does burn that summon a spell.
This is such a funky game too, where like, if you look at the scoreboard, GENG are down a kill. Yes, they're ahead in gold, but it almost feels like they have Baron buff.
Yeah.
Like they're sieging mid and bot at the same time, and they're putting on all this pressure, and DK are just playing extremely passively. And we haven't really seen any action since the top fight.
Yeah, this kind of feels like GENG, just like the slow and controlled crushing, you know? Like what the LCK was known for back in the era of Korean dominance, when you just get choked out of a game.
Yeah, no vision, no pressure, no anything.
No farm, no nexus.
Yeah.
Eventually.
No wins.
Yeah. It kind of has that vibe, and we've seen GENG do this a fair few times. But considering how scrappy D+ GENG series tend to be, this is them definitely going back on their comfort zone and D+ struggling to break them out. Especially considering we've had 2 games back-to-back prior to this where D+ were in complete control for most of them, you know. Obviously the second one did fall on their faces, but for all the early game, they definitely were the ones leading the charge, and now they are really at the whims of GENG.
Like, just look at the way the game is playing out. It's another free Hextech Drake given to GENG. Now it's mid-inner just gone.
Yeah.
Everybody on DK backs at the same time. Nobody's there to stop the push. And they're just losing everything on the map. Like, everything.
Yeah.
Even parts of their jungle given over. Trying to make a play here on the Baron. It feels like DK are really just buying into, okay, we're just going to bank on GP Ziggs as the game comes along.
How are you supposed to challenge GENG? You see, you know, Canyon overextended, which we did in the blue jungle, and what happens? You handshake him and he hops away. Oh, again, Canyon, a little bit overextended.
He's killing all the barrels that they're trying to send on him.
Like,
he got all 3 barrels in a row.
They had to commit 4 people up here just to get the tower.
Yeah. And you know what? They got the tower, but now they have to back, and Kellen's almost dead.
Oh, hit the engage.
The engage Renata. Here it is. The flash on in, and they actually take 2 of them as GENG are caught totally off guard, but now the 3v5 being fought here by the side of GENG. Couple of kills go their way as they take down the bottom lane, and now the sweep gets Lucid as well. GENG, they say 3v5, no problem.
It wasn't even a 3v5, Lance just didn't do anything. It was like a 2v5.
He was there, he was helping.
They just smoked them. I mean, there is a big gold lead, but D+, it feels like they burn everything to kill Canyon and Pays. And you know what? I'm going to say it. The comp doesn't give them many tools. They made it work. You know, they found the angle. The problem is, when you throw your 30% HP Renata in, you don't leave many options to get out again. And Keen just flies in and explodes the bot lane of D+. And then Chovy says, you know what? I'm here too. And Lahen's just like, I'm here, get me in the picture. I was there.
Yeah. He wants to be there when the Nexus explodes. You know, he's doing a good job of pressing his Nature's Wrath button.
Yeah.
So big thumbs up, 2 thumbs up to Lahen's for doing that.
You know, respect.
Hey, sometimes that's all you got to do. He's had games where he carried. This isn't one of them. He got ulted by Renata, and then he pressed R, and...
That's all you need to do. That's all you need.
And then he said, you know, Keen, go kill.
Yeah, and Keen did that pretty good. This Renekton is very strong. 3 full items in the bag.
Yeah. I mean, he reserved counterpick. The issue is that, oh, yeah, we have Keen in actually an awkward spot here, but who's trapped in with who is always the question. Another Nature's Grasp is going to come in, and you know what? Kellen's just dead. He's not able to do much. He doesn't have the hostile takeover either.
I found it so funny that, like, aiming, like, he, like, hesitated there. He was like, well, should I stay and help you? And it was just like, you can't help him. Just let him go.
Yeah, Lucid's zoned away from the pit. Can't do anything. It's a relatively slow Baron with only 2 people hitting it, but it's still enough to zone them away. Lahen's throwing in some saplings as well, and some poke over the wall from Canyon might just be enough. And DK, they're just going to say, nope. They send it to Ziggs ult, but it's not going to be enough. As Smite comes in, and GENG solidified their lead.
Such a suffocating game. And again, I think D+ didn't give themselves options to respond to this, but GENG are just crippling D+ right now, giving them no real option here. And Kellen ends up in a bad spot. Aiming's like hanging out like, well, should I help? No, I'm gone. There's nothing I can do. I will live on. But the problem is, so many tools being there from D+, already in a deficit. It looks like they're going for it again. They're just trying to find any avenue for a pick. I don't see what else you can do in this situation.
Yeah. Well, D+ Kia, they got to fight over this Drake. They can't let Hextech Soul entirely go over for free like the last couple of Drakes. But now Kellen's caught out. Doesn't have Flash. He does have Fate's Call. But the poke is coming in. The Nature's Grasp as well. And now Kellen is dead again. And in goes the Nidalee. Kenyon's got Zonya's. As the counter barrage is on top of everyone rather. They're just jumping on barrels. And it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, they lose Canyon. I don't think it is going to be relevant. But maybe they stall out the Dragon until he's back up. It's only going to be up for 20 seconds when he's not there. There's Hex Gates as well. But Kellen was... that was certainly a choice of the direction you could go. You know, if you think of 360 degrees,
yeah,
there's like a 30-degree angle I wouldn't have gone in, and he opted for that one. Big damage on Pace. There it is!
Oh, here it is! The combo, well, it's at least one circle on top of him. Chovy goes into Zonius himself. He's in some trouble, but he gets the divide, and it doesn't matter, as he will go down the handshake on the Keen. He's in trouble. This is the comeback angle for DK. They're going to get the streak as well, and they're looking for more. The scraps. Lahen's. He's going to buy some time as he runs away, but he is definitely dead. Who do you give the kill to, GP or Ziggs? Ziggs, I guess.
It's a Ziggs, sorry. Why did I say GP? Of course it's Ziggs. I'm a Ziggs player. Yeah, big comeback from D+. Just when things were looking doomed down and out, they managed to get the return play. GENG just overstaying massively. And we see in this play, Kellen, the ult gets forced. And I guess maybe he was just trying to disengage Keen, but he just immediately dies. Yeah. And Kingen flashed out anyway. So it is what it is, you know, sacrifice for the team. But here, Pace, there is no reason at all to be here.
Barrel and bomb. That's it, and he's out of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're just so squishy as a center. And there's not much as the mobile pick you can do against Ziggs ult or GP ult. I mean, it wasn't even GP ult, but yeah.
Yeah, no, just a barrel. And King is dead. He is trying to trade one back, though. He nearly does. Jeez, man, he's got some damage himself. Now with 3 items, finished off for this GP.
And it does stall the game out. You know, Hextech Soul being taken by GENG.
Honestly, I feel like anyone can win this game now at this point in time.
I think next Dragon's really going to be big, but there's been a lot of objective bounties. They're picking up more now.
So much gold on the map that they're just taken away. I mean, they got the objective bounty on the Drake as well.
Yeah, I still have apprehensions about D+'s comp, but things are much better. The Renekton and the Nidalee are going to fall off.
The GP is gigantic. I mean, doesn't have a lot of CS, but at least he's got 4 kills.
This is that horrible point where when people are playing fasting center, the center's level 12. right? They haven't really been funneling that much farm on a Pays, that much solo XP. So, you know, when you're in a game with like a level 16 Ziggs and GP, they will just one-shot you. You get so much stats from levels.
Yep.
That Pays is a super vulnerable target. You know, so I think this is probably one of the weaker points of the game for GENG, which is also when they coincidentally ended up completely bombing that team fight. Well, I guess D+ were the ones who threw the bombs, and now Showmaker has Rabadons.
Rabadon's done. GP looking for IE eventually, very, very soon. Looks like, I thought he had a Noon Quiver. Anyway.
Quiver, it does have crit now.
Yeah, but he changed it, I believe.
He changed it.
Well, he doesn't have a Noon Quiver now, unless I just missed Saw, which is possible. Void Staff finished for Chovy. Note that he is not Tank Azir in this game.
Yeah. I don't think he really needs to be in this one. I think the Zhonya's value from Canyon and Chovy pretty high. You can dodge a lot of this burst damage with those. D+, difference in gold is not that big right now in this game. And it really comes down to this next Dragon fight. I think if they lose the Soul, playing against a comp who, when you're lacking Engage and they have Hextech Soul, it's so painful, you know, to play into. Especially with like Nidalee Senna who can apply it from such a distance. But D+ have shown they can win a fight if the conditions align. They're much closer in gold. It all comes down to Showmaker and King and connecting on the right targets. And by the right targets, I mean Pays, specifically.
Yeah. Or if you can somehow 100-0 Canyon. I mean, he has Zhonya's, which is going to help, as you mentioned.
I mean, you definitely can.
There are ways, but as you mentioned before, like if he takes a bunch of poke, even like half his health, he's just going to heal it up with 2 heals.
The Luden's proc Pays Edge of Night.
Uh-oh.
I don't think they're at the point yet, but they can't be far off where you can just double send ult and Pays has to flash or he dies.
I'm sure if they land even a little bit of poke, they will consider that.
They should do it for a science experiment.
I don't think they'll do a science experiment in Game 3 of GENG versus DK, but I see what you're saying, Ox.
You don't think this is the time?
I don't think it's time for the volcano experiment.
Science waits for no man.
And you see the position right now. I mean, DK, they're trying to get vision in this pit. They can't exactly do that. Now Kingan's in a really awkward spot. He's got some barrels, but it's going to be denied, and the rest of the team is just being done away. Fate's Call already used. Now they're trying to turn on to Keen as the flash handshake is just going to go wide. The flash stun from Viego, also not great. But now Canyon in a massive hostile takeover, but this is a very broken up fight. The Ziggs is alone. Canyon survives. Down will go Showmaker as Keen gets a kill. And that is going to be huge for the side of GENG. You see the scraps of DK just running away, and Chovy is looking to join up.
Get him out!
Oh, God. He is dead. Aiming is dead as well. And there's just no hope for these guys. Kingen on the run. The TP into the bottom lane. They want to end the game now.
Yeah, they want to close this one out. Looks like GENG will not lose a series today. Their game streak was broken.
TP into the base.
Get cancelled.
Oh!
Actually, that's enough.
That saves the game, I think.
That actually saves the game. The wave's small. I'm not certain Chovy could end if GP didn't get back, but with GP back 100% he can't. I just want to credit Keen here. Keen's play here, phenomenal. So he goes for Kingen, and then you see the Renata's thrown at him, manages to roll away, dodges a handshake, flashes the Viego stun, and in the meantime, D+ are pulled so far away from Showmaker. Showmaker ults, he gets jumped on by Chovy, trying to close the gap and goes down, and Keen still survives longer, kills Kellen, stuns Lucid, and single-handedly wins the fight. And you know what, I'm going to say it. I was talking about Renekton falling off, apparently not. Keen just refuses to fall off.
Especially in fights like that where it's very broken up, and, you know, the rest of the team is trying to chase you, you're dodging everything. You're still very tanky on Renekton. And he's got GA now. He's got Sterix.
He's figured out how to be tanky. Just don't get hit.
Yeah.
Just don't get hit by skill shots.
Just dodge.
So
121 stacks right now for the Senna.
That's a lot of range.
Yeah.
And with a Hextech Soul, I just don't even know how you approach. No flash and Pays, though. Maybe the science experiment needs to go now.
They're going to have to throw something into that pit, as they don't have any vision, and they're not going to throw anything into the pits. They'll just hold on to their ults. Save it for next game, I guess.
Yeah, I think they really need to get the Edge of Night Shield off phase to do the science experiment.
Yeah.
No, but like, I know I'm kind of joking about that, but genuinely, throwing those 2 ults down on a flashless Senna is probably your best way to start a fight with this composition.
Yeah.
When most of the other fights have been throwing Kellen in to his death.
I mean, they just don't have any real engage outside of that, so it literally is engage Renata Glass.
Yeah.
Outside of Viego, I guess, which...
Luden's is a good way to get the Edge of Night. We've seen it before, but if you know, maybe you get an angle here. There we go. It's down.
They got it.
I think now you just send the ults if he steps up slightly.
If you weren't going to use it on the Baron, you have to use it to save your base. And that they will. Here it comes. Oh, look at the damage!
Oh!
He gets the heal, though. And with Kenyon there, he is going to be okay. But look at Kellen. He's nearly dead. And Lahens gets over the wall. The Fate's Call has to be used. Meanwhile, Keen wasn't even there. He's just taking the base. Doesn't care about the kids that are fighting. And now he's looking to fight himself. A lot of low health bars on his team. But, man, the damage out of this team is just insane right now as Keen gets into the back line, assassinates the Ziggs, and Keen is unstoppable in this game, and he will take them down, picks up a triple kill, and that will do it. GENG, they lose 1 game, but their series streak has not ended as they move on to 10-0.
GENG still on top. The streak broken, and I think D+ should be very happy with their performance. Game 3 looked super rough, but they at least made it competitive. I think there were issues that draft talked about extensively, but they still gave a good effort. They still try to punish FaZe. They still try to bring it back. And I think as much as GENG still remains strong on the day and get the win, definitely looking mortal, which is more than we could say for the rest of the split.
Yeah. I look behind me, I feel bad for the DK fans, you know. They got that 1 win. It was like, it was huge for them, obviously. Everybody was really happy to end the streak of GENG on the side of DK, but a bit dejected as they did not get their redemption arc in Act 3.
You know,
it is just GENG winning again.
I think you got to be glass half full on this one.
Oh.
As she does not look glass half full.
A little bit glass empty.
GENG look glass overflowing at the moment.
Yeah.
It is very full. But I think that's the thing you got to take away from this as a positive. D+ have given by far the biggest challenge to GENG so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, taking the game is a no-brainer. That's the biggest challenge. But also just in the games, really making them work for it. And that is the goal. As we're looking in the second half of the split, closing the gap on GENG and going towards playoffs and thinking we can beat them. Because I think with the first half of the split, a lot of people were just ready to write off Summer and say, well, I guess they get 5 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You gave yourselves at least that belief, that hope. And, I mean, the season's not done yet. Unless GENG are actually going to go 18-0. DK, you know, they're not going to win this one, but
well, you know, I think
other teams have an opportunity. I
mentioned it earlier, the Honor Life GENG series at the end of the split. But more importantly, we do have next week Bro against GENG.
Next week, Wednesday.
Yeah, I think everyone...
Don't miss it.
Bro GENG, you know, maybe that's the one. I love, you know, even if they lost, I just found it so enjoyable seeing them just ult on top of FaZe.
Yeah.
And as it comes in, this health bar just vanishes. I'm glad we got the science experiment in the end. Didn't go the way I thought it would. I thought it'd be the Gangplank ult into the Ziggs ult, but it worked. And this, honestly, this play from Keen, possibly one of the most impactful late game Renekton team fights I've seen, in just how much space he sort of created, and then still how much value on the back end. Taking Lucid down super low, taking out Kellen, and giving his team so much space. Because I genuinely think if Keen gets caught quickly in that fight, there's actually a lot more possibility GENG just end up losing.
It definitely feels like a Keen POG angle. He's just saying, I feel.
And then Canyon goes his 500 health, you're welcome.
Yep. That's what he was saying. I'm mid, I'm pushing. You want to come top? He says yes.
Yeah, Keen is like, we've already played 50% more games than we're supposed to.
supposed to be eating my my steak by now.
Yeah.
야 팔리?
And he ended.
절대 안 돼.
He just mangled them.
실수했다. 쏘리요. 야 괜찮아 괜찮아. 이겼으면 됐어.
It seemed like Canyon was apologizing for something, and Lehens just laughed, and then they were like, "Oh, it's fine." I don't think Canyon had a bad game or anything like that, but either way, GENG eventually get across the line. Had some stumbles even in this game. You know, they had that one team fight at the blue buff where it was like, oh, are DK actually gonna come back? They made it interesting, but at the end of the day, GENG are inevitable.
So far.
So far.
So far. You know,
Also, they lost the game, which that streak ends.
Yeah.
So,
you know, slightly sort of inevitable.
Inevitable, in
Somewhat
fact.
inevitable.
Yes, a little bit inevitable. And they do have the 10-0 streak still going for their series. So they've got that going for them. But that's going to do it for today. It was a very fun Sunday, including Saturday Showdown we had earlier. But we are done on the cast. Let's throw it over to the space to break down this series.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POG Universe translation, joined by Pace and Keen on the side of GENG, who just secured their 10th consecutive win. Congratulations!
네, POG를 받은 페이즈 선수, 기인 선수와 인터뷰 나눠보겠습니다. 기인 선수, 젠지의 서머 첫 풀세트였습니다. 디플러스 기아를 상대로 승리하신
This
소감
was the
여쭤보겠습니다.
first 3-game series for GENG. How does it feel? I feel like we lost game 1 so helplessly, which was pretty disappointing, so we wanted to just go ahead and be more proactive for game 2. So that's where we ended up being a lot more playing our own game afterwards. So were you sad about the streak being broken? Yeah, it's a little sad, but we knew that it would come to an end someday. So it's okay. And Keen, although now it's no longer a perfect season, from the past spring until today, you are on a 24-match winning streak, tied for the all-time highest match streak in the LCK. So how does it feel?
확실히 좀 계속 기록을 써 내려가는 것 자체가 되게 기분 좋은 일인 것 같기도.
Honestly, it's such a great achievement. It makes me feel good that we're able to sort of make history. And Pace, are you confident that you'll make new history? Yeah, I believe so. We are capable of making new history and breaking records. And so you gave Game 1 to D plus Kia. So what feedback was there prior to Game 2? We messed up on some of the basic things, so I think we just said, let's just pick ourselves back up. Let's just play better. And Pace, in Game 2, GENG picked red side and gave Ezreal away, quickly taking Ashe and Nidalee. So what were you trying to accomplish draft-wise? Well, rather than having like a specific strategy, I wouldn't really know. So what are your thoughts on playing Ashe against Ezreal? I believe whatever wins lane is better. So I think I was a little sad about that. Yeah. So in Game 2 wasn't really easy either. So there was a 6k gold difference. So how did you overcome that? We knew that the enemy had a comp and a lot of champions that actually just sort of fall off during the late game. So I think just being able to find the right teamfight angle is what really gave us the edge. So let's take a look at the next replay in Game 2, the Drake teamfight that gave you the edge. It looked pretty dicey without your Azir and Jax, so did you expect to win here? First of all, I think the enemy, we knew that they didn't really have a lot of abilities left and they didn't really look very solid. So I think we just went in thinking, you know, we would actually win if we just commit to it. We were sort of forced to commit at this point because we were so behind. And so Keen in Game 3, the enemy went for a high-value Ziggs and Gangplank picks. So what were your thoughts on the matchup? From a Renekton's point of view, I think playing against Gangplank, it actually turns better over time. So I was actually I have had a pretty good feeling about just playing the longer the game went. So yeah, Keen, in late game you built Shojins to solo kill the Gangplank, and maybe it's just that you haven't played enough Renekton in front of us on stage. So what are your thoughts on Renekton? I think Renekton as a champion has very distinct pros and cons. And this champion also has a lot of limitations. I think that's really what it is. And so maybe we can look forward to seeing your Gnar in the future. Honestly, this is a meta where you can see any sort of champion come out, so I'm sure that if there is an opportunity, you'll be able to see my Gnar. So there was a highlight from you where we saw the Renekton's aggro juggle, and it looks like just because of how you were able to handle the aggro here, you led the team fight to victory. We already knew that this was a really good window for a team fight, and my job was to sort of waste and bait the enemy champion's abilities, and it worked pretty well. So the moment the enemy splits up, we knew that we would win.
젠지가 승기를 빠르게 가져올 수 있었습니다. 2라운드 첫 번째 경기를 승리를 하면서 이제 연승 가도를
So with you winning your first match of round 2, you get to keep the streak. So what is your goal for the remainder of round 2? Pace. Although we gave a game away which was a little disappointing, I believe that we are still pretty satisfied that we were able to win. So I believe that it's important for us to keep it up. And Keen, honestly, it's no longer a perfect round record or season. I want to keep up with the match win streak. Thank you so much. And that's the end of the interview from Pace and Keen, and back to the space. Thank you.